that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AOA, check me out. Look, plugged in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to it, my wife.
Hey, what is going on? Damn, we are excited to be here today. Dr. Bonehead in the house once again. What's going on, Joe?
Hey, nothing much. Happy to be here.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. So we're going to talk some Hidden Floor today. Tower God rankings. For those of you who are familiar, I'm assuming any of you in the stream are pretty familiar, but if you're not, we're going to be going over a couple topics today and ranking the best of the best in our personal opinions. So obviously they may not line up with everyone, so don't be offended. Let's just have some fun with it for sure. Thank you to everyone who has followed in the meantime. We do appreciate you, and if you haven't yet, definitely smash that follow button on Twitch so you don't miss a damn thing going forward. Also hit us up on our YouTube channels. The links are in the panels down below. AOA Show, AOA Reacts, because the way this is going to work is that this stream is not going to be archived. It's not going to be available to anyone, so the only way to catch it, if you're late, if you have to step out, etc., we're going to chop it up into 4 sections, going over the 4 different topics that we're ranking. We're going to split it 2 and 2 on our channel and Bonehead's channel, respectively. So that's the only way you're going to be able to watch it. We're not going to have any of the intermissions in the video. Obviously, we're just going to cut down right to the meat of it. What's so funny, Gavin?
No, just reading the comments. Someone's like childish Gavino.
Right.
And people have actually called me that. And it just
Oh, childish Gavino.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's actually really weird because I used to get called that in college.
Yeah.
But like, because people said I looked like him.
Yeah.
Donald Glover. What a
It
man.
returned.
Kevin, you don't see the resemblance?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Spinning image.
I see it.
Yeah, you got like a nose on your face and shit.
Yeah.
I get like ears.
Yeah.
Maybe an eye or two. I don't know. It's up for debate.
Lips.
Yeah.
Lips are a big one.
Yeah, for you, they're
Yeah,
big.
I
Especially
know.
with
Here we
feet.
go.
I know.
Here we go. What about the feet? Yep. Here we go.
Some feet.
This is not an
he
AOA
knows.
stream without the lips and the feet.
Absolutely.
Joe's culture.
Nudist society. What? All right. We're gonna have some fun today. For those of you who may be over from Bonehead's channel, thank you very much for hopping on over. Hopefully you enjoy the content today and the live stream. Joe's been a pleasure to work with this whole time. It's definitely a blast. So we're gonna be hopping into this, and we're gonna have it so that we're gonna intro it as if it were a YouTube video each time we get into a different ranking, depending on whose channel it's going on. So if it looks out of the ordinary, if we're kind of, going into character and saying, what's up YouTube and all that kind of stuff, it's because it's going to go on YouTube later. So don't be surprised if that goes down. Anyway, though, does anyone want to say anything beforehand? Are there any announcements on either our channel or Joe's channel in general?
If you like Tower of God, go to my... Oh my god.
That was a fantastic announcement.
Thank you. I'm sure that was breaking news to everybody.
That
we
was
talked about
breaking
Tower of
news.
God.
No, seriously,
Yeah.
go over to Bonehead's channel for all things Tower of God. He really kills it over there. And announcements on our channel. I know, Isaiah, you just had your manga review, manga of the month, manga club discussion yesterday in our Discord. So for anyone that isn't familiar with that, if you join our Discord, link is in the panels down below. Just click the Discord link there. They're going to be running a monthly manga club, so y'all can vote through our community post on which manga that you'd like to read. This month was Chainsaw Man, and y'all just read that. Isaiah had a conversation with everybody in the Discord about it. Probably going to make some content on it as well, so it's a great way to kind of be a part of the community, read some new stuff, or read it again if you really just want to hype it up for your fellow community members here. So that was really cool. Yeah, man. Beyond that, we also have our short story contest that I believe has started as well. Check our community post. This was brought up by some of the beautiful folks in our Discord, so we're going to give it a shot. And hopefully as time goes on, if it's something that takes off, it's something that y'all enjoy, we'll try and work on it and make it better and better each time. But right now, you can check out our community post on the AOA show. Again, definitely sub to that channel. Link is in the panel down below there. And read the criteria to that. And submit your short stories, and we're going to be streaming it here on the AOA show and picking a top 3. So that should be a lot of fun.
That looked super cool. Can I just say, like, that I knew nothing about it. I saw the announcement, and I was like, man, it's such a cool idea. So just from what I saw, like I recommend taking part. It looked really cool.
Yeah, we're super excited.
I'm excited. Yeah, I think it'll be dope.
Did you catch up to Chainsaw Man?
Yeah, read the whole thing.
Thumbs up, down, in the middle.
I liked it. I liked it.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a. It took a while if I'm being honest, to get into it because it's like 90 chapters, and I think it took me to like 60 before I was like, all right. This.
Okay, interesting.
But I will say, like, tastes are dependent, right?
Fair
it's
enough.
a very like certain kind of your shonen manga. So if if you're into the whole aesthetic of Chainsaw Man, you might get a little bit more attached quicker than I did. But it's good. It's a good manga. It's a good story.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Let's go. All right. Y'all ready to do this?
Before we start,
No?
hold on.
All right.
The chat has been, hold on, really quick.
Ian,
The
shut the
chat has been asking about a feet ranking stream, and I just feel like I had to bring that up because, like, what are the odds of that actually happening? Because I would watch that.
Very high.
Yeah, it's actually we're trying to speed this stream up and get you off so we can we can start the real.
So we can get to the real late show, the meat and potatoes.
Late show.
Yeah, what everybody was hopping on for.
You gotta have a feet stream and a lip stream.
Absolutely.
I would watch
Feet
that.
and lips.
Lips.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm ready to go.
It's
I'm
an
ready to go.
absolute must. All right, let's do this. Ready to rock?
So I'm starting.
Yes.
This first one's on my
actually
channel.
not yet. Yeah. All right, Joe is gonna go into character here because this video is gonna be up on his channel. So whenever you're ready, my friend, take it away.
All right, let's freaking do it. All right. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Tower of God ranking video. Today, we're covering hidden floor abilities, items, powers, all that stuff. And as usual, I'm joined by the AOA guys, so go ahead and say hi, guys.
Hey, what's going on, folks?
yo.
Glad to be here.
So, if you're wondering why it looks different, first of all, you should know by now because we just did Floor of Death, and if you didn't watch those, what are you doing? But second, okay, so we're doing this live, right? And essentially the way this works is we do it live, and then we take it apart and make them into video segments. So if you want to watch these live, definitely follow the AOA show on Twitch. The link will be down below. And then, of course, my channel, we also do it live. We're going to be covering these arcs leading up until the nest. So we're super stoked. But today, hidden floor abilities. Guys, what do you think? Are you excited about covering these powers? I know this, honestly, this arc had a lot. Like, when we were talking about the options and stuff, there was so many options to cover. So I don't know. You guys excited?
Super excited.
Yeah.
We have some of the pool ready to go, and it was pretty tough to eliminate some of these even before, like, the pre-stream, So
It was. Yeah. I think what the sort of like, because we did Floor of Death previously, and Floor of Death was so focused on like moments and like character development as opposed to like abilities and fights. And I think this arc, even though it has character development too, is kind of the opposite. There's so much happening when it comes to like new powers and fight. So anyway, I'm ready. Let's cover some abilities here.
Let's rock.
Let's freaking go. Okay.
All right.
So first, let's go over our options. You guys have the list there. You want to read off our list?
Yes, absolutely. So, Gavin, if you want to just scroll up on there a little bit so I can see it on there as well, that would help out immensely. Up, my friend. Thank you. Okay. So we have a pool.
Off to a great start.
Yeah, Gavin. I love that we put Gavin on all of our tech because it makes zero sense, but we did it anyway.
Whoa. First off, I'm amazing. And second off,
Jeez.
you should have learned by now by giving me all the power is the greatest opportunity that I have in my life.
No, it is
so.
true. It definitely adds some fun elements to it, and it,
it's true.
and it keeps us on our
Immediately
toes.
caved to him.
Are you kidding? You're the one who just threw me under the bus. You're like, well, shots fired when you say it all the time. Get out of my face. All right, let's talk about our pool here, right? So we have number one, we have Lacalicus, or right? I always mispronounce that one. Which is going to include all forms of the sword that Jihad has, just for anyone that needed that cleared up. Okay. We have bombs, the 25th bombs transformation. It's the 25th night style transformation specifically. So this is really just kind of Bomb going in his, Super Saiyan mode and kind of getting all of his new abilities that stem from the transformation itself. Next we have, what do we have here? We have the Montana Azul, which is Kun Erwan's ginormous spear. because he just likes to flex on everyone. Then we have Kuhn's Ice Shinsu. The picture here is Kuhn's Ice Spear, which was a popular panel. So that's for reference there. But we're going to be talking about the ice abilities as a whole that Kuhn now possesses. We have Rack's rock abilities as well, which kind of go in tandem with Kuhn's ice. They get it at the same time. Then we have the Flying Fish Spear, which is held by the boy, Asensio. Always mispronounce his name, so thank you. And then last but not least, we have the Stone General by Geok, one of the big breeders, which was a pretty cool inclusion. Now, again, keep in mind, not every item made the list. As you see here, we only have a pool of 7 and a top 5 to go through. We go through them before the streams start, and we kind of narrow down which ones we want to include on the list. We try and diversify them as well. So we could have included, Miss Cheney's spear. We could have included ones that were very similar to some of these abilities in general, but we wanted to kind of make it selective and pick one of each style if we could. Very different ones, so we could have a pretty thought-provoking conversation about which ones we thought deserved their spots. So, Joe.
Yeah, we try to be creative and not always pick the same, the thorn for every single list, because let's be real, that's kind of, not even fair. We try to be a little more creative. We have some big breeder abilities, and I think it's cool including like Kuhn and Rax Shinsu, because even though they're like regular abilities, I think they still do quite a bit in this arc and going forward. So yeah, I'm excited. But so we have 7 options, so we have to cut 2. Do we want to start with that? Do we want to start kind of like see which ones deserve to make the top 5? I think this is gonna be a little tough.
Yeah, no, I'm listen, if anyone has any hot takes, I'm willing to hear it. And just so chat knows, or anyone watching on YouTube, we have a kind of the boundaries which we've set. So we've set for ourselves. So we're gonna be ranking these off of 3 factors here. Their utility, so their overall usefulness, versatility, which is virtually the same thing, but just in multiple facets, and power within the arc. So even if the item kicks ass later on and has some other ability that we weren't aware of later, we're trying to exclude that and just talk about them within this arc in general. So that's what we're going to do. So for anyone that was curious, or you're like, what? No way. Jihad's sword is obviously number 1. That wasn't even a question, right? Well, we're talking about what it did in this arc and its overall utility and versatility in general. So
yeah, like even if Hockney's eyes save Evan Kill in the future, we're not counting that. We're just looking at the floor. Exactly. All right.
Exactly.
Sounds good.
Just as a random example, though.
I just had to think of something. Okay. So, all right. Right off the bat, I think it's tough because these are all regular abilities. No rankers really participate in this arc. So that's a pretty good thing. However, with Kuhn and Rack, I feel like they did just learn their Shinsu. They did kind of just start to get adjusted to this ability. So I think, I'm not saying we cut these 2. I'm just saying that I think these are going to end up on the bottom, near the bottom, just because of the nature of their just learning the ability. Like Rack in particular, we talked about this briefly. He doesn't really get to utilize the rocks too much in this arc. He's able to work with Kuhn to like freeze and petrify the mirror of the past. And he also does this thing where he the rocks cover up his arms, I think, at one point. And, just a couple more moments. But aside from that, I don't know. I think Rack, if we're comparing Rack and Kuhn, I do think Kuhn's Shinsu is used a bit more during this arc.
Woo,
I completely agree. If I'm being on my first thought was Rack being at probably the out of this list, he is the bottom one in my eyes compared to absolutely everything. After that is left to be debate, especially with Kuhn and some other options we have on here. But at least for me, I'd say
you guys are saying bottom 5, not cut.
No, I'm saying cut.
On the list.
You're saying
cut. You're saying cut.
I'm saying cut. Maybe
I am also
as an option.
Cut.
Yeah, I could see Rack's stone ability being cut from here, just because, like you said, we don't get a full showcase, at least in this arc, about what it could do. It's just kind of the teased factor that he has it now, and okay, how does this get utilized, etc. So we don't even get to really see its overall usefulness later on as well, because as far as we know, he needs to eat them, which seems very specific to someone like Rack, who would be willing to eat rocks. At this point, yeah, exactly. So within it, as compared to Kuhn's ice, I feel like Kuhn's ice, at least the way he showcases it in this arc, seems much more useful. But that's just my personal opinion.
Now, yeah, it is worth pointing out that Rack, his utility of the rocks is technically like it's weird because we get a lot of hints that he is an ancient. And so the fact that he's like utilizing these rocks, I don't think they're actually even like really Shinsu is the thing. Because when Edwan sees him create them, he's like, wait, what the heck? Like these are literal rocks. It's not the watery Shinsu substance. Yeah. It's literal rocks that he's summoning. Now, I still think that's why he realizes, like, wait, are you a descendant of the... Because he realizes, like, what the heck? So, that being said, though, I still don't think it trumps Kuhn's ice, because he does use it in a variety of ways. His ice spear is just super cool. And again, he freezes the mirror with Rack, and I think that Kuhn in general just gets a bit more of a spotlight. He freezes his own heart to save his life when Rachel is about to kill him. Yep. So... You know, it definitely gets more utility.
Okay, I could see that. All right, so Rack's rocks cut from this.
Goodbye, buddy.
Goodbye for now.
Okay,
salute.
So I'm gonna throw out a hot take here, and I actually am tossing around this idea of, now y'all can correct me and jump on this if I'm speaking out of turn here, but the Montana Azul. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here.
Okay,
but the size of this spear, does the size of it make it the Montana Azul, or is that he has the spear and then he could modify the size as needed, right?
Okay.
So it's like, here's the Montana Azul, I'm gonna make a small one, or he's like, or is it implied that like the Montana Azul is when you make it large? If it was a smaller spear, it wouldn't be that move, right? And I guess my point there is if it's the latter and the Montana Azul is when it is absolutely ginormous. If we're talking about power within the arc, it definitely ranks up there with Jihad's sword and, bomb and all that kind of stuff. But to be fair, its overall utility and versatility, I don't know if it's necessarily excelling in those factors as compared to some of the other ones on this list, considering it's the size of a skyscraper. So you have to be literally in the middle of nowhere really to be able to utilize that for purely fighting. There's really not much utility in terms of, like we said, Kuhn stops his own heart when it comes to the freezing ability and can make weapons, etc. Whatever, right?
So it depends, right? So we're kind of comparing. So, first, just one clarification, and I'll let you guys take over. Just to make sure, like, this is a Shinsu attack. It's not a literal spear. It's a spear that he creates from lightning. So he's able to, I'm assuming if he wanted to shorten it, he could. But as far as we know, the Montana Azul, or spear higher than tallest mountain, as it's also translated, it's the freaking giant mountain spear thing. It's kind of like, I compare it to like Ron. We kept putting Ron's ability on our previous list, or Ran. Which one? The big old javelin lightning throw. There. Thank you. Yeah, like, it's kind of, the way I think about it is, it's kind of like that. It's like a super powerful long range attack. So even if it's not as versatile, does it trump the versatility of other skills? I don't know. You guys can take over.
So my only thing is that it seems awkward to name it, right? The translation, spear taller than the highest mountain, and then not have your spear be as tall as the highest mountain. To me, then it's literally not the same ability, right? Like, it could have all the same properties, but if we want to get super specific here, and we're going literally with the Montana Azul, right? Like that move in particular, I guess to me, I'm like, is it not, what it is manifested as,
So
that's just me.
What are you saying? Because you would cut it because it, what do you?
I think that its power within this arc is obviously super high, right? It ranks among Bomb's transformation, Jihad's sword, some of the other abilities here. But I think out of all of these, I actually think its utility and versatility, beyond just, trying to do like a one-on-one fight or whatever, is lacking in comparison to a lot of these other abilities, personally, just because a lot of that, again, that's why I posed that question, has to do with how damn large it is, because you literally, if that's the case, if we're going off that criteria, you cannot use this ability if you are in anything short of an open plane stretching miles, right? If you're there.
I mean, Jihad has that big ass needle that he uses. And he used it in that stadium against Bam, which was not an open field. Like, I don't think he can only use it if he's not in an open field. I just think it depends on what he feels like destroying.
Plus, he could just blow up. He could blow up the building. You know, he's Kun Edwan. He'll blow up the building.
I feel like there's a lot of abilities that we see in terms of sizing. Like, it really depends on the situation.
Like the space they're in, they don't really seem to be too concerned with, because plus a lot of them can fly, so he could just like
That's true.
and then drop that giant thing from
which is actually.
Yeah, I guess okay. What, like, when I see, let me try a different route here. When I'm comparing this, right? Yeah. So I compare this to something like Jihad's sword. Jihad's sword to me does virtually some of the same things in terms of power level, but is a 100th of the size, in the sense that Jihad can sheath it. It seems to have different abilities within the three to some extent, right? So its power is there, and it can be easily concealed. It can be brought into a smaller arena if possible. It doesn't have to be like in order to just wield the thing. Bomb's ability, as we see, kind of opens the door to many abilities that would rank on the same power as that, and that doesn't require him to hold anything. Kun's ice obviously is weaker in that department, but I think has more overall flexibility in terms of how it's used and what it can do. Applications beyond, just destroying someone if you need to hold someone hostage. I know that's not this arc, but I'm just saying usefulness, right? In general, if you need to like freeze them from the neck down and question them, if you need to stop your own heart from you dying, etc. The last two over here, the Flying Fish Spear and the Stone General, I think we could get a little more into, but just comparing them to like those three in general, I think that it's maybe.
Yeah, but aren't you going in more on the position? Because he's using it almost like he's using it as a spear. It's a high concentration of his Shinsu and his lightning. So it's like, you can use things for different applications, but that kind of goes with what the situation is needed. And that's why Kun used the spear to begin with. So it's like, Kun's ice, he can use it in different abilities in terms of, if you're trying, he can use it in different instances, but same thing with Kun Edon. He can use his lightning in different instances.
But we're not ranking the lightning.
We're
ranking
but I get that.
The Montana Azul.
I get that, but it's like I feel like that was the best option for the situation in which he were to use it, and if it wasn't, he would have used something else. So that, in its sense, like I'm sure versatility wise, he can use it in other instances. He didn't in this because this was the best instance to use said item, and I don't know. I feel like. I don't know.
I get that, and I think it is worth pointing out that, like, sure, it can't save your life if you're about to die, and sure, you can't whatever, but it is freaking crazy powerful. Like, especially if we're comparing it to something like the Stone General is kind of cheating, because it's like this is a big breeder skill. He can like manipulate. He can do basically whatever he wants, to some extent. But I'm gonna guess if Kun. This is Kun Edwan we're talking about. If he shot this thing at, or like if you were comparing these two, I would put, even if the Stone General is a little more versatile or whatever, I mean, I don't think there's even a comparison, to be honest.
Okay.
Because this is kind of, I get what you're saying, but I do kind of feel like the power of this ability like does outweigh the fact that some of these other ones are more versatile.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, I could see I could see the next ones for the chopping block being either the Stone General or the Flying Fish Spear. I would probably say the Flying Fish Spear, I guess, in general, right?
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's ask.
I like it. I'm glad we included it because it's okay. I'm glad we included it. It's cool. Marco Asensio, you're freaking awesome, but
someone give him his participation trophy.
Right,
so he can
Asensio's dead now.
Give him a piece of gum.
All right.
Give him a piece of gum, he'll feel better. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're in 5.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So
I made it. Top 5.
I guess now it comes down to we kind of revisit this, right? If that's the case, then I think that I don't know if the Stone okay, here's the question then. If you guys are in agreement that the Montana Azul is a better overall ability than Stone General, I think that's a conversation, but let's just go with that hypothetical. Ranking the Kun's ice to the Stone General then would be the next conversation, because I would assume that bomb is going to be up there a bit, and so is the sword. So I think that's the question, and I'm wondering if there's anything I'm missing with the Stone General. But it seems to be almost this autonomous being that is created and basically can, do its own range of attacks. Raining stone down on people, and I'm wondering what other abilities it has beyond that. If there's anything that I'm missing in that regard, at least how it pertains to this arc.
Yeah, the Stone General can create a lightning spear, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Right, he does something with that, and he's able to summon a rain of stones. Those are the only two things we've really seen it do, but he uses it to a pretty good extent. And he's able to keep like many of our regulars at bay with it. So that is worth pointing out. I think Hansung and Bomb I forget who he's with at first. I think it's Hansung and Bomb and Kun. And then later on he encounters like Asensio and all that. But I don't think it's, invulnerable. Like I think I'm getting if you took out the thing that he summons, I'm assuming, then Jock is done. So, but it is definitely pretty strong. He's able to summon this thing. It's creepy looking, so intimidation factor. Got to consider that. But yeah, I don't know. I think Montana Azul has to be above it. So it's really just Kun's Shinsu versus the Stone General, and my gut says that Kun's Shinsu is just more versatile. I don't know. I'm willing to honestly do whatever placement you guys think for this one.
I guess my only question, because I'm on the same fence as you, Joe. See, for me, I just wonder in terms of how far in the fledgling stage Kun's ability was at that time. Like, yes, he used it at he did use it at important points, yes, and literally froze his heart. But to what extent was that power he was able to harness at that moment to where it really could have been a game changer or like useful as an entirety, as an ability, compared to say someone like a Stone General who's almost like a god on the hidden floor in that sense.
Yeah.
So that's like, I'm going back and forth. I really would need like a hard debate for either, but I'm actually kind of leaning Stone General over Kun, I think, in that respect. But I am open-minded.
I agree. I think because Kun's ice ability is good, but it doesn't. It's not, I mean, like right now. So like, in my mind, I kind of feel like Jihad's weapon, Bam's transformation, and Kun Edon's weapon are in the top 3, and I feel like they are because they're all abilities that like could virtually cause any of those characters to 1v1 anybody on this floor. Maybe there's some contention with Bam's transformation with the big breeders. I don't really know, but my point is Kun's ice ability isn't doing that. As good of a weapon it is, and I'm sure and as versatile as we've gone through, like that, I don't think is stacking up to the Stone General by itself. And like you were saying, again, if we're talking about just in this arc, I don't think it was nearly at the level of control where he could have done that, right? Like maybe he could have implemented it with somebody else's help or doing some other, plan. But I personally would say Kun's Ice at 5 and Stone General at 4.
I agree.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Ian? Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I also want to make a clarification. Chad was kind of, I do think Rack, he uses Shinsu to summon the rocks, but I don't think the rocks themselves are like made of Shinsu. Like I think that's the distinction. I could be wrong about that.
Doesn't he use the Shinsu because there is those panels where he's literally pulling rocks out of the ground and eating them. And then
exactly.
So I thought it was he uses the Shinsu to manipulate the rocks, but as far as where they come from, like he is literally pulling them out of the ground and
I think something like that, because when he uses it against Levy, well, I think to be honest, I'm not even really sure, because when he uses it against Levy later on, it's a ton of rocks and they're in like a room, so I'm not really sure.
Maybe he like eats
one way
them
or
and
another, they're
stores them
special
in his body.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
we really don't know. Anyway, I just want to bring that up. Okay.
Yikes! Ian's ready.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that I think I have a top 3 personally, and I think I would put Montano Azul at 3.
Okay.
I would put Jihad's sword at 2.
Okay.
And Bomb's transformation at 1. Now, obviously, I am open to argument, especially for 1 and 2. I genuinely do think, though, that the sword and Bomb's transformation are better than Kun's ability, just for overall versatility. In general, that's. But I don't know.
So we can take this step by step. I agree with Ian in terms of the number 3.
Cool.
1 and 2 are up to debate, and I have mixed feelings about it. But in terms of Kud Edons, I think that the latter trumps him in that regard. I don't know. So I agree with Ian in terms of putting that number 3.
I definitely agree with number 3. I'm curious to what your reasoning for number 2 would be.
Do you
I agree with
with
number 3 as well.
Okay, so I'll move that.
Yeah. Move that in 3. So 1 and 2, I am open to debate if anyone thinks that it's it's different. But my gut is telling me that Bomb, and again, within this arc, Bomb's transformation or Bomb's Zenkai boost, as it were, is better overall as a number 1 spot than Lecalicus in the sense that I think the power scaling is similar. But I think that Bomb has now opened the door to so many different abilities because of the transformation, right? The ability is the transformation, but what the transformation does now is basically enhances everything that Bomb has. It's like a stat boost to everything, right? Like everything gets buffed. So he not only makes all of his pre-existing moves better, he also implements new moves and things like that with the course of the transformation, whereas the sword is overall very powerful, but is, in a sense, beyond the 3 modes kind of locked in place. Not that that's too much of a deterrent. Obviously, it's in top 2, but I'm saying if we're comparing the 2, I think that Bomb's ability, the transformation, is almost like the bedrock for everything else to come. It's almost like the soul of every other ability, whereas Jihad's tool is just that. It's a tool. It's a weapon. It's something that's like a physical material. It's only, it can only go so far in that regard. Not to mention that during this fight, Jihad uses it, but, Bomb obviously lives. So there's that. And also, Jihad doesn't only use the sword. He has to rely on other abilities and techniques and things like that. And it's not necessarily the sword that pulls it out. But so those are my initial thoughts.
Let's say, are we talking about just the Zenkai boost or also all the techniques that Bomb is able to get after going?
Well, that was the question that we had when we were initially putting this. To be fair, and I think
it has to be both. Because if you're talking about the transformation does both things. It gives him a stat boost and allows him to use his
Because I remember talking about this when we were talking about it on the phone, and I was like, this is going to be really strong. Because I'm like, if we're including all the abilities that it has, you're virtually putting like multiple abilities into one ability. So if we're talking about the transformation in and of itself, if we go off that, then that's what I'm going off of. But to be fair, if we think that's like too busted or something like that.
Well, I mean, Jihad's weapon has multiple abilities too. It has multiple forms.
It does. That's a good point.
In a different, so it's not that like, inane of a comparison to make.
That is a great point. And also, I think I am leaning towards then Bomb going 25th mode or whatever as number 1, just because, it's worth considering that, Jihad also survived Bomb going this mode. But like you made a great point, Jihad's also using all these Shinsu attacks and he's going crazy, summoning literal like solar systems, So that is a great point. Now, Lecalicus, just to clarify, this is a crazy powerful needle. He used, I think it was like, even like the first stage, I think, Lecalicus. He didn't go Coelacanth or Leviathan. He took out Machini in like 1 hit, I think, with it. When she was popping lightning pills and it was like crazy. So I think that's worth pointing out. Like, it certainly is an insanely powerful needle created specifically for Jihad by the workshop. But I think I do agree. I mean, this is Bomb we're talking about, getting his transformation. How could it not be?
I think I agree with Ian. Because like if the sword, let's just say, had been the thing that like protected Jihad from Bam's attacks, then it's like, okay, not only does this sword have the abilities that we've listed before and all of its transformations, but it has the ability to withstand Bomb's attacks in this mode. Right? I think the case though is that Jihad himself, just from his level of Shinsu resistance or what have you, like that's what protected him, right? Not so much the weapon, while the weapon just has all these amazing offensive capabilities. Could stack that weapon by itself, stacked up against Bam's transformation. I think I would have Bam's ability pit out one.
Yeah. So many options with the transformation. Now that it does that,
man.
you've literally evolved. You've become
He grows
higher,
like wings and stuff.
Literally, you've become a higher being. I get, in some sense than you were before, which just opens the door for you to do so many different things. So just beyond power, the versatility and utility is kind of endless, right? In the sense that, now it's kind of on you to be like, I can do all these different things that I couldn't do before. I'm enhancing every ability that I have and adding more. It just seems like so much you're bringing to the plate.
And
but
it
that
just looks cooler.
It's way cooler.
Jihad Sword look like a dildo. You're not competing with that.
Jihad Sword, it looked a little dopey at first, but when it transforms, it looks better. It turns into a little dragon. All right,
That is.
I mean, Brim's looking devil. You know what I'm saying? You got
We're kidding on this. All right, whatever.
Wings and shit. Like, come on, get out of here.
You know what? I'm gonna argue for number one. I'm just kidding.
That's it. It's going down.
All right, so unanimous decision?
Unanimous decision, my friend.
So.
Drag those bad Larrys in there. Let's go.
Cool.
Can we rank the best rip at Jihad number one? Absolutely, Cupid.
Yeah, I mean that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Jihad's shorts. Number one. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
He even influences Caliban later. I mean, we've been reading the chapters now, and Caliban's shorts are like really short with his jacket on. We're like, he definitely took that from Jihad.
I never noticed how goofy he looked until you guys pointed out, and I was like, that looks so goofy. Like I knew he looked
really. You didn't notice that? 'Cause it was pretty obvious by the short shorts
No,
and the
like,
barber.
I didn't notice the shorts. Like the shorts and the jacket. And I was like, that's so true. Like, I hadn't thought about that.
I love how through the course of our story we have injected some humor into it, but we've also just like ruined some of the appeal to some people because it's like, dude, I just can't stop thinking about how White has a height complex now, or like how like whatever. Like,
first off, y'all are welcome because it was there. It was there from the start. We just pointed it out.
That's true.
I know ignorance is bliss, but like,
someone's got to break it.
You got to face the music.
It's man, that's hilarious.
All right, well. Guys, that is our ranking for the Hidden Floor abilities and items. If you think we missed a couple items or you think you would rank these differently, then let us know in the comments down below. We'd be really curious to know what you think about that. Of course, go follow the AOA show. Links will be down below. They make awesome Tower of God content. And by the time you see this, I think they'll have wrapped up the entire story, which is crazy. 100%. They'll have just finished. So I'm assuming, and I know, they're going to be making lots of fun, breakdown videos and whatever going into the future now that they actually know everything. So definitely go check them out. And subscribe to this channel, too, if you watch till the end, because why the heck are you even here? Overall, thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. And stay tuned for the next ranking video. All right. Take care, everyone.
Peace.
All right. Wait, Gavin. You go back. Sorry, you were like clicking like you don't have to go crazy. I'm sorry. I didn't tell you that. You didn't have to immediately jump into it as soon as Joe said that. My bad. I didn't tell him that. I didn't tell you that. That's my bad. But you were like going so fast. I'm like, Gavin, you're like,
that's what was laid out. They're like, as soon as we're done,
No, you're good. We let people know that now we're gonna go into an intermission out of the fact, so that they weren't like, oh my god, the stream's over.
Oh right, yeah. No, but that makes
Gavin
sense.
was on the ball there. That was my fault.
Yeah, people got a sneak peek of the trivia. But okay, so that was fun. So next we're doing. So for those of you who don't know, we're actually doing this differently. We're saving character. I saw some people talking about this. We're saving characters for last. So I think we're doing fights next, right? Is that
yes?
Yeah,
we're doing
rankings.
Top 5 fights next.
Cool. Mm-hmm. So if you want to see characters, don't go anywhere. We'll get to it soon.
Yeah,
we're taking our time. We're taking our time.
It's gonna be fun.
So overall, we ready to go to our break then?
Yeah, we're gonna have a short 5-minute intermission here, which Gavin was really on top of, so I'm sure he's gonna be on top of it again. And then we're gonna come back with some fights for this next one. So don't go anywhere. There's also some trivia for you guys in the intermission. So if you guys want to participate in the stream, you could shout out your answers. We're obviously reading chat as we go through, so we could see if we fooled any of you on some of these questions here. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We are back. Isaiah was going on with a story about multiple monitors, but Gavin cut him short.
Yeah. I guess it didn't make the cut.
So now you'll never know.
Look, he was making bad points. It doesn't matter. You always need more monitors. 3 is never enough.
Gavin with the power.
Hilarious. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that intermission. because
yeah, you guys did good.
Yeah, we needed some validation on that one. We put in some work on this stream here. So, yeah, obviously, though, make sure you guys are going and following Bonehead on his socials, on YouTube, etc. You guys are doing the same for us as well, so you don't miss a damn thing. We are going to hop next into some of the best fights in Tower of God. I'm going to go into YouTube mode in a second here for some behind-the-scenes action, though. So.
This is on your channel, obviously,
Yes,
right? We're going back and forth. Alrighty. Sounds good. Really quick, Sharky says, how are you supposed to remember this for my favorite arc? You're supposed to guess. Okay, part of these are just supposed to be for fun, you know, and plus, I know someone did actually know it. Thank you. All right.
Look, Sharky, if you were a real
Sharky.
Bonehead fan, you'd know. That's all I'm saying. Tough love.
Hey, I'm just saying. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Speaking my mind.
Also, Dark North, don't worry about copyright because this stream is not available when it's done, and those those little intermissions are not included in the YouTube videos. So those songs will never see the light of day when it comes to our Twitch channel or YouTube after this. But thank you for the heads up, and we're glad that you like the music. So that's pretty cool. Watch your videos. Much love. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Shire.
Okay, ready? We're going to go into YouTube mode in 3, 2, 1. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? Welcome back to the AOA show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, along with the boys Isaiah.
Oh, hi, yo.
And Gavin.
What is good show?
And today we're hitting you with some more Tower of God rankings, this time covering the hidden floor and fights will be the topic of discussion. Top 5. Although we have a pool of a little bit more, we are joined once again by none other than Dr. Bonehead. Joe, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Excited to rank some fights. Let's go.
Man. So are we. So we're going to hop into it. We do have a couple parameters and rules, a blueprint, if it were, to kind of help us along with our rankings here instead of just being like, dude, but I loved that fight, so it has to go at number 1, right? We're not playing that game. So we have emotional impact, we have choreography, and we have spectacle as the 3 main units of discussion here, with a little bit of hype interjected into all 3 of those, right? Because it's a little bit more subjective at the end of the day, but feel free to hype up some of your favorite fights here.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get into it, right? Yeah.
Let's freaking go. Okay.
All right. So we have 6 in the pool here today, and we are ranking the top 5 of them. So one of these are going to get the chopping block here. Ooh. Also keep in mind that we did go over... Oh, man, basically all the fights in the arc in discussions prior, but we kind of narrowed it down to some of the ones that were maybe a little bit different and unique, ones that we could have a fun conversation about, and ones that would be kind of recognized among a lot of the fandom as well. So if you don't see one of your favorite fights up here or one that you thought we should have included, know that we probably talked about it, and this is where we ended up. So we have 6. Like I said, we have Bomb versus Data Jihad. We have Miss Cheney versus Jihad, or Data Miss Cheney versus Data Jihad. Kun versus Kessia. We have Asensio versus Giok. And we have Bomb versus Viol, and Jihad versus Edwan. And obviously, these are the data forms of them, so don't have to say that. Yeah, so this is what we're going to be working with here today. So if anyone has any hot takes here, I'm willing to hear them. What do we think?
Hot take, we should cut Kun versus Kisea.
Whoa,
son of a bitch.
What are your reasonings?
All right. So because the fight is interesting and we get to meet this new character, this new Kun who hates Kun and Kun. However, it's ultimately kind of short, and it's kind of like, okay, they throw daggers, they're just throwing, they're just going at it, and then he gets stabbed and saves me, saying, and that's it. Compared to these other fights, it's not that intricate. It's interesting, it's cool, but I think the spectacle and the choreography, well, it is interesting for a couple panels. It's sort of like, like the Kun versus Hots fight we talked about for Name Hunt Station. It's kind of short, but really awesome, but it's still really short. And it's like, does it stack up to these other crazy fights? I'm not sure.
Whew, yeah, I don't know. I could see that. I think, not to be influenced too much by chat, but to be fair, I could see the argument maybe for the Bomb versus Viol, but I do think that at the end of the day, I would rank Bomb versus Viol higher, in my personal opinion. I feel like there's a little bit more for me anyway, and this is a little subjective, but a little bit more emotional impact on that one. And the choreography is somewhat similar, if not maybe a little better in that one. So, I mean, that's my personal opinion. Also spectacle as well. But, I mean, I'm willing to hear any other one.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Missing was saved. We all know that Viola and Bam, how that was going to end up. So, like, emotionally, we all knew that Viola wasn't going to overtake that.
There was a little bit of downplay. Anything you think is absolutely bar none, bro. If you're like, I really love Bomb Viola. He's like, honestly, dude, Viola's a piece of shit. Like, I'm just going to say it. Nobody liked it from the beginning.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. You said it bluntly, but you do have a point. That, like, to be fair, in terms of
Gavin's like 3 out of 10 times it works.
to be fair, this is one of those times. To be fair, I see what you're saying in terms of emotional impact in the sense that we kind of knew how that was going to go, but I could argue that we knew how it was going to go with Kun versus Kessia. I think the Misang element was what definitely changed it up. And so I guess that, like, you're right, but I think the how you get there, you know what I mean? And, like, we didn't know if Bomb was going to actually destroy him or kill him or anything like that, but I see what you were saying. It was kind of funny.
No, I will say, I guess, you know, and this is where the subjectivity comes into it, because with the Bomb Viola fight, my thing is almost all of it is in the emotional weight, because I actually don't really think the Bomb Viola outbeats the Kun Kessia one in terms of choreography and, like, the actual fight. And plus, once the whole thing with the Bomb Viola thing, at least in the physicality of it, is they were copies of each other minus the thorn. So once Bomb whipped out the thorn, like, Viola we knew wasn't really a threat physically anymore, right? I feel like a lot of that altercation was the emotional impact it had of, like, Bomb having to conquer his demons. So. Right. I guess for me, it's like, does the emotional weight of that fight outbeat the you know, everything that we've talked about with the Kun Kessia fight? And I think I would also I would put my vote in for Bomb Viola personally.
That's not. I don't know.
All right. So I would be open to. Okay, that is a good point. However, I disagree with the predictability aspect, because I think we knew that, like, who was going to be the winner, but it was definitely, like, that moment where Kun comes in to, like, help Bomb, and he says, like, get out of here. You're nothing more than a nasty ghost. He tells Data Viola that. And then Data Viola goes crazy. And we've never seen Bomb, like, get this emotional. He's like, you know, shut up. Like, I was abandoned by you guys, and you have no idea how lonely I was. And he's, like, going at it. And Kun's like, whoa, what the heck? Like, I tricked, you know. And then Bomb is the only one that says, like, it's okay. Like, I understand. Like, I am you, you know. And so it's very emotional. However, it is also, spoilers, on our moments list. So I would be willing to, like, cut it from this to give it some, because, like, the moment is really what matters here. The fight, I can concede that the fight itself maybe, you know, is out trumped by Kun and Kessia.
Yeah. Now, the one wrench I will throw into it is that, spoiler alert, we also have Kun saving Misang as a moment later. So there also is that, and if we're gonna use that criteria for the Bomb versus Viola fight and separate the moment from the fight, then I think it would be fair to do that with a Kun fight, and then we now both come back down to, okay, are we taking the Misang thing out of the Kun fight in that case, and then now it's just kind of the fight, right? You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's okay to count
from there.
No, yeah, I think it's okay to count it somewhat for both of them, but I just I think we got to give it more credit during the moments when we talk about it as a
That's
moment,
what I'm saying. You know? Yeah, so I guess my point is that, like, I almost don't even consider the Misang thing or you know, the moment or whatever in those fights. I think it might, you know, it's ranking them off of you know, kind of like the emotional impact. It does become tough because those things do play a factor. So I do concede that you can think about those slightly. It's not like you have to eject them from your mind completely.
Exactly.
But I think, like, the stakes within the fight and just like the process of getting there to those moments maybe is what to me what the emotional impact signifies. So, I'm pretty torn on this one. I would
cut Bomb versus Data Viola now after hearing all that. personally.
All right, fair enough. I don't feel like arguing. All right.
I'm so torn.
I'm not that
later.
married
All right,
to it
fine.
anyway, so yeah, it's fine. Okay.
Cool.
Ian, make sure we're
So
considering
does
our
that-
options
okay.
carefully. Also, Ian, I don't fucking feel like talking.
Oh god.
Okay, so does that mean though that Kun and Kisea is at number 5? Like, do you guys think? I personally think all of these other fights are better, but if you guys disagree,
No, I don't. Personally, I think that's fine
Okay.
at number 5.
I agree.
Yeah. What's that fight? But like immediately to the left of Data Edon and Data Jihad.
That would
can't see
be
the picture.
so that would be Miss Cheney versus Jihad. It's when she's flying at him with her her thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but I do the Kun and Kessia at
Okay.
5. I do agree.
Okay.
Oh no, Isaiah, you're talking about the one left of Edwan and Jihad.
Yeah.
That's Sensio.
Yes.
Jihad.
The one to the left
Oh.
of Kun is the Miss Cheney.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Just so we can, I mean, it doesn't matter. They're both on here, but
said to the
just
left
for
of
the
the
sake
same,
of the ranking.
Okay.
Okay.
Left of Edon and Jihad.
Yeah, he said to the left of this one.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, Sergio.
I mean, it doesn't matter, but
Probably just heard coons. so I
just
figured-
for the sake of the ranking. Okay, so
too many coons in here.
dude, this arc is a lot of Kuns.
Yeah, for
Let's put so Kun Kisei at 5, right?
Mhm.
That sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.
So arguments for number 4.
So, let's see.
I'd probably put the Asensio fight at 4.
Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
it's Asensio, Miss Cheney. Those are the two for me. It's like
Yeah,
figuring
I'm
out
gonna
which one
say-
trumps the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Asensio is definitely not as big for me as the Miss Cheney
the
versus
Miss
Jihad
Cheney.
one
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Same for me. Same for
yeah.
me.
I think Asensio
Because
is there.
she's really fighting like her father in a way from the
Mhm.
past, you know, like her adopted whatever Jihad father. And there is a lot going on there. I do like because Mashini in present tense or in the present time, you know, not a great person. She's kind of just the worst and bloodthirsty, and it's kind of cool seeing like this younger version of herself who still has some of those aspects of like I want to fight, but it is coming from not as much of like a twisted level. It's a bit more. It's cool seeing it like in a different light. And most princesses get frozen like when they see Jihad, but she kind of like goes past that. I agree. I think it's better.
Yeah.
Okay, so Asensio.
Yeah, although I do really
But
appreciate the choreography in
Yes.
that fight. I do have to say there wasn't much emotional impact for me on that one, and the spectacle wasn't too crazy. It was pretty nuts. Don't get me wrong; these are powerful dudes going at it here.
It was cool.
But I did like the showcasing of the flying fish spear and what it could
Exactly.
do against Jayak and the Stone General, and then we find out that Jack has copied the fighting style and abilities of some of the Coons from being, associated with them in some way, shape, or form, or at least try to put his own spin on it and things like that. So it was pretty cool to see that go head to head for sure.
Well, I think the guy, like the big breeder himself, like trained to learn the Kund technique. Like, yeah. So it's kind of cool because I don't even think he like copied it in like a data sense. I think he like literally before coming to the hidden floor, like learned how to fight.
Oh
with
yeah, that's
Kund
what I meant.
technique.
Just to clarify, yeah, like he trained that move and it's better way of putting it, took inspiration from that and kind of made his own thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So it is a good fight for sure. I love Asensio. He's a badass during this fight. So
yeah,
it definitely deserves the list. It
It's
made
on
the
the
list.
list. It made the
I'll
list.
say it.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
the first one to
It
say
made
it.
the
I'll be
list.
the first one to
That's,
say it.
that's always our excuse if something's going lower. It made the list, guys. Okay. All right. So number 4, we got
Yes, yeah.
Asensio versus Jayak.
All right.
All right, so
cool.
I am going to make the argument that I actually think that Miss Cheney versus Jihad for me was a better fight than Kun Edwan versus Jihad. I think that because I think the spectacle was virtually the same in terms of like just giant bombastic ridiculousness going on and the power level in a sense. Obviously Edwan is stronger than Miss Cheney, so like there is that in terms of scaling, but I mean Jihad takes place in both of the fights. And for me, I can see the emotional impact argument that it's like Edwan is going going against Jihad but it's not the Jihad that he knew anymore. So there is that weight behind it for sure. But I do like the Miss Cheney one in the sense that it's like Miss Cheney is kind of able to go all out against someone that she's been wanting to go all out for, and we kind of get we get more on Miss Cheney's character as well. So I think, excuse me, there are some similarities. I will say, though, if I'm just injecting the hype part into it, I personally thought the Miss Cheney's fight against Jihad was way more memorable. Like, I remember, and just hype. Like, I just thought it was badass. I'm going to be honest with you. I know that's kind of subjective here, but to be fair, just given the other things I said in the objective, I do think that there is merit. But, like, I didn't even remember that Kun Edwan and Jihad. Like, I didn't remember that fight. I'm going to be real with you.
I didn't either,
I didn't even remember it when we were talking about it. And I was just like, no, they fought. And we're like, oh, yeah, you're totally right. Like, they did. And then you think about it, and it's pretty cool. But I just, like, I don't think I'll ever forget the Miss Cheney Data Jihad fight. So that's my that's where I stand personally.
And I think chat also has a good point here. Like, it also had a proper like conclusion. Mashini knew she was gonna lose, but like still seeing that result, like the Jihad and Edwan is a bit more of like a clash, and then they're like, hold on, let's make a bet. You know what I mean? So it's kind of cut a little bit short. It's still really awesome, and the spectacle is insane. But Mashini and Jihad, I think there is a lot of impact behind that as well, and weight. So I think I'd agree. It's very memorable. It's a memorable fight for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm not toiling with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I would put that there. Yeah, the Miss Cheney fight with him was that was a spectacle, man. And it wasn't just Miss Cheney either, to be fair. You know, there were her siblings that were
That's right.
Yeah. Akari's summoning armor and
which was pretty insane. And it was kind of cool because it put Jihad's power into perspective, I think, just in terms of how much stronger he is than princesses or whatever, right? Like you didn't know. It's like, oh, Miss Cheney's gonna go at it, and then she literally gets one-shotted, and it's like, oh, Jihad doesn't play. Like, this guy means business.
That's like what he does. Right. It is nice though that he does beat her with the sword, because it's stated that he only uses the sword on people he believes are worthy of.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
So he acknowledges her. That's really
like
cool.
A warrior's death kind of thing.
Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah, and I think she dies with like a smile because she's like, man, like that's all she wanted. That's all she's wanted to do. So
yeah, that was cool.
That chick is crazy.
She's pretty badass.
Crazy high.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, crazy. Any contention for our number one?
No.
I don't think
no. Data Jihad versus Bomb. I mean, I think we have to do it some justice and talk about it at least for a second. Why we, like whatever. So if anyone has any, but I think that it is pretty set in stone that this one is going at number one. I mean, this was just arguably, to some people, I would say one of the best fights in the series so far. This really just puts into perspective where we're going endgame with this too. Everything that surrounds it. I love the idea that Jihad's Shinsu and the way he utilizes it is reminiscent of the sun and the solar system and planets, and how Bomb's fighting style is reminiscent of this like black hole, like a void almost, in the way they fight each other, which is interesting because a lot of Jihad's moves would be indicative of someone who's the hero, whereas a lot of Bomb's are someone indicative of someone who's the villain. So I find that to be really interesting. Their fighting styles going head to head. It's almost like solar impact level crap, no pun intended going on, or pun intended, right? Like, I don't know. I thought that was really cool, and just we saw a lot of stuff from either of them. But I mean, that
is a great point, because Bomb is all about like the night. Like, his name literally means night, and it's all in like the moon too. Like, if you watch the anime opening, you see Bomb against like the moon backdrop. Like, it's all about the darkness, and Rachel calls him, the night that she's trying to escape. I think that is really cool. I never really thought about that too much, but like seeing that like clash of like the light and the darkness, but like the darkness is actually the hero in this case, and it's really neat. It's such a cool. I mean, like it lasts also for like a good like 10 chapters or something or more, and sometimes Jihad's winning, sometimes Bomb's winning, and Jihad changes his mode with the sword, and it's like crazy, and and I love how it ends too, with instead of like they like Bomb wins. Like, who knows what would have happened if they had kept fighting, but Data Jihad is like, I lost. Like, you, above and beyond anything I could have ever imagined, you win. Like, I concede. Like, that's a really good growth for Jihad as well.
True.
And I really like the way it ends. It's really cool.
Yeah, especially considering that Jihad is still at that point, I mean, like corrupted, right? In the sense that he wasn't the same Jihad, right? That big Jihad came down and did whatever he had to do. So for him to get kind of snapped out of it almost, right? And correct me if I'm wrong here in this sense, but right, is he basically corrupted by Big Jihad? And
so okay, he wasn't like literally corrupted like his data. It's just that older Jihad came down and hid the bracelet there, I think, or something. And then when he did, he like talked to Data Jihad and like I think told him a bit about what he was to become. And it put this pressure on him. Yeah. And it made him change. So he changed, but it wasn't like his data changed. You know what I mean?
Don't take what I say, because now I realize I've done this twice. I said copied and corrupted, which are both very indicative of something that is like data centric. You know what I mean? Like computer. I don't actually mean that in terms of like a computer simulation. I just meant like corrupted as in like he was told something different or whatever. And like he's just thinking in like that more evil, villainous, right? You know what I mean? But yeah, for sure. And it was cool to see him get almost snapped out of that in the end by Bomb's overwhelming persistence and stuff like that. It was really cool. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's going to do it. If you don't mind slotting those into their positions there, Gavin, to make this thing official right now.
Let's go. That was clean. That was smooth.
That was very clean.
Yeah, right?
Super smooth.
Super hot fire.
I have a feeling our contentions are going to come with these next two lists.
Okay,
Maybe
that's what we're looking forward to. People want to see a brawl. People want to see debate.
I want to see
a spectacle here.
I want to see blood.
All right, get out of here, Machete.
All right, folks, so there you have it. That is our top 5 fights for the Hidden Floor. Coming in at number 5, if I can see what the hell I'm looking at here, we have Kun versus Kessia. At number 4, we have Jaok versus Asensio. 3, we have Kun Edwan versus Data Jihad, or Data Edwan. 2, we have Data Mischeni versus Data Jihad. With her siblings, of course. Give credit where credit is due. And at number 1, we have the 25th Night, Bomb himself, the Chestnut, versus Data Jihad, which was a fantastic one for sure. All of these were. Really, in their own ways. Yeah. So really hopefully you guys enjoyed our list. If you did, make sure you guys are dropping a like on this video, hitting us up in the comments down below. What did you think of our rankings? Would you have switched any of them around? What were some of your favorite fights within this arc and some of your favorite characters? Just let us know in those comments down there. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell as well. Hit us up on AOA Reacts so you can catch our live read-throughs and live reactions. Definitely want to subscribe there. And go to Dr. Bonehead's channel as well for all of the Tower of God content that you could possibly ask for any of you dedicated Tower of God fans. That is probably the go-to channel for anyone like that. So you definitely don't want to miss it. But until next time, folks, thank you so much for watching. We will catch you all on the flip. Peace.
See ya.
All right, don't go anywhere, folks.
Please move.
Oh, God. Out of character again. Right? Breaking that fourth wall. Whew. Thank you.
This is why you're doing this live, guys, to see these weird, goofy moments.
Yeah, right. Thank you to anyone, by the way, in the meantime, that has followed the Twitch channel. If you have not yet, that would really mean a lot. If you guys follow us on Twitch here, so you can catch our live streams, our live read-throughs as well. Definitely don't want to miss it if you're looking to live vicariously through us and relive those last 10 chapters of Tower of God before the hiatus started, because we're going to be reading them fresh. We have no clue what happens, and that's going to be tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you definitely don't want to miss that.
I am excited for you guys. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
For me.
Awesome.
Yeah. Ward, no, the stream is not ending. We are just posting these segments on YouTube as 4 separate segments, 2 going on Bonehead's channel and 2 going on ours. That was one for ours. I'm sorry? Maybe not if he joined late. I'm just if he wasn't. Okay. So we're going into like YouTube mode when we do that. So
right. So we have 2. We're gonna do moments and characters. So we'll be going on an intermission with more trivia, and then we'll be back for sure.
Yep. All right, intermission, go.
Let's go. Loving the webtoon. It's so good. I wish the anime did it justice.
I feel like it would have done better as a movie. Almost. Like instead of a show. Got Out of High School?
They Got Out of High School as a movie.
So I feel like because that was the thing with the episodes, I feel like if you don't get the punch or the payoff for some episodes, like you're left kind of like, all right, why did I waste 20 minutes watching that? Whereas like if it's a movie, you could just connect all those threads, really trim fat, and then like just get
Sure.
to, you know what I mean, just hit people with the lot of it.
Well, yeah, and I think even as a series, if they had just, I don't understand, like they just, it wasn't like Tower of God where they like cut out some moments and it was like fair enough, okay. It was like they literally changed like the characters entirely. It was like, what? Yeah, and then like, okay, the ending was relatively the same, like, okay, but they just completely, I don't know. I it's sad because the comic really is so good. It's the thing about the comic, I'm gonna go off just for 1 second, is there's so much comedy in it, and you wouldn't get that by watching the last half of God of High School. But there's so many funny moments too, and it's honestly just, I don't know, it really is great, and none of the charm was in the last half, and I wish they had just kept what made the source material so good.
I really did like the season 1 of the comic when we read it. I definitely think it was just sort of an anime thing as far as why that didn't hit.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, we're back.
We're back.
So strap in, everybody. It's time to rant.
Time for our top 5 God of High School failures from the anime.
Oh man, yeah, that's hilarious. Oh man, we're hitting moments. Will be the next one. Top 5 here. Which is gonna be really cool. I'm gonna change our battery real quick.
That's good.
Cool. Sounds good, guys. I think there might be a bit more debate with these next couple segments, but we'll see. Hey, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I'm gonna get petty.
We're getting along today.
No, I'm gonna get petty.
Don't you worry, Joe.
All right, cool. I'm counting on you.
I'm a performer first. If need be, I will go on.
If
a
saving
rant for no
Neesing
reason.
isn't number 1, then there's obviously a problem here, and I'm not even messing with her. Because she is the literal main character of this entire story. Who's Bam?
Gavin's
25th
like,
Nacho? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like if we didn't put that moment that Rack fell on his face as the number 1 moment, I'm deleting this whole.
What are we doing?
Yeah, because
what are we doing?
Never mind.
Bro, Gavin just called him the 25th Nacho. That was actually hysterical.
Yo, nachos are amazing. Have you ever sat down and just ate nachos? Come on. It's amazing. Best experience of my
I've
life.
sat in a chair and I've
Solid argument.
ate nachos
Yeah,
before.
there you go.
They're very good.
Number 1. Same. That's all you need.
I feel like you're really defending yourself, and I wasn't going at you. I thought it was hilarious that you said
No. You're going for my heart. I'm going for chicken nuggets.
Should have thought.
Every moment we're relating to food at this moment.
Oh my god. Shark says legit ready for warfare. Probably won't take Smap Daddy's side out of spite. That's a true fan though.
Damn.
Right?
Yeah, Sharky's kind of like the rival of the channel, always being the one to go against the tide. Gotta love it.
Panape says, what webtoons would you like to see as an anime? I'd love to see Kubera, Watermelon, maybe The Gamer too.
Oh, was that the Gamer? Was that the one that we read with the dice? Wait, was that called Dice?
No,
I'm pretty sure that was called. Literally, it was called Dice.
there is a webtoon called Dice. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say one at that. Rotten. Anybody is familiar with it? Probably not you guys, but it's a horror webtoon.
Wasn't that in the vein with like Bastard and that
I think so. Yeah,
same
it's a
author?
horror. Yeah.
What was the other one he did? Oh my god, we read those so long ago, dude.
Oh, I know what you're thinking of.
Yeah, with the kid. Well, we read it. Not that matters really, but
there was one. Oh wait. Omniscient Reader. Was that the one that we?
That's one we read, and that's one I would pick. But I was talking about Sweet
I've
Home.
heard really good things about it.
Yes,
Sweet
that's
Sweet Home.
because it's the same guy, Sweet Home Bastard. Yeah,
that was
and
cool.
Ron. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
My vote would go to Purple Hyacinth because I love that comic.
Oh, Purple
I'm usually an action
Yeah, the one
guy,
that we
but
never
and that has
Yeah,
strong.
if we read it, I might agree
Which,
with
by
you.
the way, I
Joe.
think it got fixed. I don't know. I highly recommend it. It's so good.
I want to.
love
If
that
it is
show.
actually fixed, that's Your Throne. I think that was another one that really stuck with me that I wanted to finish. Your Throne and what was it, Gavin? The
Omniscient Reader.
Omniscient Reader. Yeah,
That one was just sweet.
those two were cool.
Yeah.
I keep getting recommended Omniscient Reader, but I've never read it yet. So
If you
I'll
like,
have to check it out.
horror-esque.
Oh, okay.
It's like there's creepy things in it, but I wouldn't like. It's not like a bash. You know what I mean? Like it's not.
Actually, yeah, it wasn't as like horror-filled as I thought it was gonna be, but it definitely was like very creepy with
Yeah,
like
like that
bugs
one
and,
character. Wait, what?
Wait, am I thinking of a different one?
You 100%.
No, I'm thinking of one that
You're thinking of the one where they're trapped underground.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
not. I'm
that's
missing.
no.
He's like
Do you
Tokyo 6, right?
That's the. It's called like something daylight or something, or like it's that. Yeah, those are the two.
remember. There are 2%.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is the one? I'm
Omnipotent
thinking of?
Reader is the one. Remember where the guy is like he's reading his favorite comic or something, and the author like he's reading it on the and for some reason like the story comes to life. Like or it takes over the world or whatever, and he's on the train and they have to. Yeah. That's Omnipotent Reader. The one you're talking about is where they're trapped underground, like the city's caved in or something. It's all dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't
forget-
remember the name of
It's
that
called like
one.
something daylight or something. I don't know.
It reminded me of City of Ember. If anybody knows that movie. Very.
It's probably terrible if you can't remember the name. Anyway, let's talk about
Wow.
Tower of God.
They were just-
terrible. You and your personality. Ian. No, I'm kidding.
Ouch.
I just like to stir the pot.
I was like, another thing.
Yeah, we're like, yeah, good. It was probably terrible. Moving on. Like, okay, geez, out of
Gotta get
nowhere.
the ball rolling here somehow. No,
Let's do this, though.
No, there's some good
Ready.
ones though, for sure. Yeah, y'all ready to go? Right? Good. Joe?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about some
this is
moments.
Joe's?
Yes, sir. This is gonna be
Moments.
Joe's video. So take it away whenever you are.
All right. 3, 2, 1. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages? Welcome back to the Dr. Bonehead channel. I am your host, as always, Dr. Bonehead, along with my boys, Ian, Gavin, Isaiah. What's going on?
Yo. I see what you did there, and we appreciate it.
What are you talking about? That is my basic intro. So today we're talking about Tower of God moments. The Hidden Floor. The Hidden Floor, amazing arc. We've already broken down the fights and the abilities. So if you want to check out those videos, they're on our respective channels. Links are down below. And overall, I think there's a ton of crazy moments we're going to be talking about today. So yeah, I say we just kind of get into it. Obviously, we're looking at emotional impact, emotional weight, character development, and all that stuff. So are we ready to go? I say we just jump into it. I have a feeling we're going to need more time for this one. So, okay.
Yeah, we're probably gonna need some more time.
Why would you say that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to jinx it. Okay. Could you guys read off the list? I know you have the pictures on your end. Just so we know what we're getting into.
Yes. So we have 6 in the pool here.
Okay.
We have where Bomb and Data Jihad meet and / Data Jihad's arrival, right? When we see the short
Right.
king himself come down. We also have Bomb accepting Viol in that skirmish they have once they learn their new abilities and such. I know Joe really likes that one, as you might already see. We have when Kun Edwan and Data Jihad finally team up to verse Giga Jihad at the end there and try and save Bomb after everything goes down. We have when Kun saves Misang, which seemed almost out of character for this. So this is going to be something cool to talk about, at least at this point in the story. We also have Bomb drawing his own line or making his own power. Obviously, these names we've just kind of made up, so you got to bear with us here. But Bomb creates his own power. He draws a line in the sand, as it were. And then last but not least, we have the arrival of Big Daddy Jihad coming down and stopping the show quite literally.
Yes.
So those are going to be
the myth,
the 6 in the pool, and we're ranking the top 5. So we got to cut one of them.
We got to cut one. I'm going to be honest. These are all fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah.
I personally, I'm down to 2 of which one to eliminate. Kun saving Misang, which I love that moment. So don't get me wrong. And I'd
made
love
the
to
list,
have
huh?
it.
Well, not if he's gonna cut
It,
it.
it certainly did. That's true.
It made the pre-list.
There is no pre-list.
Well, now the pressure's on. Jeez. I'm down to that one. Personally, I'm down to that one or Data Edwan teaming up with Data Jihad. Although I do think the moment is really cool. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I the one that jumped out to me was were those 2 actually.
Okay.
Yeah, as well. I think there's a cool conversation to be had around all of these, though, for sure. So I think that even whichever one we cut, we do need to give their due. But those are the 2, in my opinion, that jumped out to me.
Got something to say, is it? Yeah.
I guess if I had to pick one to cut, like I might probably say Edon and Data Jihad teaming up.
Yeah.
just because like all these moments are fantastic, but like if I'm trying to compare it to, you know, anything else that would cut, like everything else in here other than the moment Giga Jihad comes down, which you could even make an argument that this fits into this category, are like character defining moments, right? Like you have Bam and Viol, that's a huge character defining moment for Bam. You have Kun saving Misang, that's a huge character development moment for Kun. You have Bam drawing a line, or, you know, coming up with his own power, again, another huge moment for Bam. And Jihad making his entrance, which is, you know, again, not character defining for Jihad, but it does introduce us to Jihad, which is important. Where it's like this Kun and Edon one is great, and it is really dope to see two of the heads of the 10 great families, like, you know, team up and sort of like reforge this bond. And like, especially because the whole thing of the arc is he's like, oh, you're a fake, you're not the Jihad I know. It's cool to see Jihad in that light again, because, you know, obviously Jihad is our enemy in the story, and so it's nice to see him in this role of like, yeah, let's go save Bomb. But it's just kind of like something that happens as a consequence of some of these other moments, and I don't know if I could put it above any of these moments.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I think I'm in the same boat in terms of, I mean, if the two you're putting forward is Misang and Kun and Data Jihad and Edon, I do go with the Edon and Data Jihad teaming up because I personally just felt like out of the two, the Misang and Kun was a better development for Kun. And I mean, being a Kun stan, you know, we love to see it, love to watch it. So like for me, it was like top tier. So that is my differentiation between the two.
Well, Gavin, if you you said if those two are being offered, do you have like a contender for like being cut aside from those two?
No, I mean, it's hard because no, the only one that I would be tempted to throw in, and honestly, I think it does stand above all, might even be Bam putting Bam like splitting up his power, putting the line in the sand. Just because we also have the other development in terms of Bam being on this list and him and Viol, and not that they go together in a sense, but they were both big growing moments for Bam. I feel like the him and Viol for me was more of a defining moment than him actually like drawing the line in the sand in term of his power, because I don't know, that moment just didn't hit me as much as some of the other ones. So if I had to throw one into the mix, it would be that specific one with Bam. Because I also got to look at it in the token in terms of Kun and Data Jihad. I also really did like that moment in terms of them actually teaming up, reforging that bomb, and moving forward, because it almost gives you hope in the future that there is change that can happen, especially with the 10 family heads, even though this is their prior selves in terms of being Data and not their current selves. It does like allude to the fact that change can happen and that it inevitably will have to happen for real change to come. And for me, that's like a great foreshadowing moment almost, and you just love to see it for me. So that's why it's hard like to just nix it off the bat. Especially when there's two Bam moments on here. And I mean, that one was cool and you did need it, but I'm like, you know, there's also some cool characters in the mix. So yeah, that's my moment.
I'm going to go with my final decision, Edwan and Jihad team up as the one that gets the axe.
Okay.
Personally.
Goodbye.
All right.
Data Edwan and Data Jihad.
Really cool moment. Obviously, these were really tough. And obviously, there could have been more moments that we included, but like we said, we're trying to narrow this down, not be here for 3 hours. So 6 it is, and 5 it will be. But yeah, that moment was very cool for a lot of reasons. Like Gavin said, it definitely gives you hope in the future that Edwan being a 10 great family head and Jihad being the king seemed to be boys back in the day.
And just,
you know,
sorry.
No, go for it.
No. I just exactly what you're saying, and like even more so, like I remember when they're fighting together, and we finally get to see Data Jihad kind of like his true personality. I remember one time I think Data Edwan's like, no, I'm gonna be like the spear bearer or something like that, and then Data Jihad goes like, you baby, like he said something like that, and it's kind of like, hey, you know what, we're seeing this
Actually though, I'd like to throw something out here, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I actually think that was the big Jihad that called him a baby at that point, because I remember making a comment about that when we watched it. Somebody have the panel on that one, because I'm almost positive.
Because I think I do remember you guys talking about that, but I'm pretty positive it was Data Jihad, because we could see his like
Okay.
Well,
Eyes?
I thought it
I
was.
could
I
be
thought it
wrong.
was when Eon eats the pill and he's like screaming. He's like, "Ah, this hurts so much!" And then Giga Jihad turns
that's
over.
what
And
it
he's
was.
like, "You baby."
You're right.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
something
sure
like
There
it's
was
that.
Giga
Data
Jihad.
Jihad. So pretty sure it was Data though saying
Really?
that.
Somebody get me the
Maybe
deets
chat
on
knows.
that one.
I'm pretty sure. I'm
Your
pretty
Honor.
sure. If not, then that would be interesting because I feel I don't know. That would be if that was
'Cause I
like Big
sorta
Boy
thought-
Jihad. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I sort of thought that would the implication was that like while Data Edon and Data Jihad are people who are so similarly in sync, like Giga Jihad is so far away now, like where Jihad is now, like he doesn't even recognize that Edon. He's just like, who is this punk? Like, right? Who is this?
It's funny. Chat is like, Smile goes, going up against Joe in trivia knowledge without provocation is a bold move. You are truly fearless, Ian.
Notice that I'm quiet because I don't know. And I'm
Some of the
waiting for
people in
facts.
chat are agreeing, though. They said it's Big Jihad, not Data Jihad.
Oh no, it was Data. I'm like looking at the panel here because
You're wrong.
he looks really young.
Dude, I was
He looks
ready to
real-
bet my life on that one.
Well, good thing you did it
I'm
because you'd be
pretty
6 feet
sure.
under.
Damn, I'd be
He looks-
dead.
He looks so young here. I can't
I
imagine.
could have
it's,
swore it was him choking him, and it was like him from looking behind. But
Oh wait,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Joe,
'cause
don't do that to me.
are you? Wait a minute.
You were right. Joe, you're 6 feet under.
Because I'm pretty sure that was the thing, right? Is he was insulting Edon, which at that time doesn't really make sense for Data Jihad to do, considering they were working together. I mean, like he could poke fun at him, but I think the point was that he was insulting the younger Edon, like the older Jihad was, because he's like, oh, you can't even you baby, you can't even handle that.
Joe, I see that face on you. Be honest. What's the deal?
Thanks for watching, everybody. I think that's the end of the video. I don't know why I never put that together.
Well,
I thought you guys were wrong about that.
No, yeah. Well, turns out we're
That was
right.
literally you're right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, you can hold that above me.
No, I'll just play it, dude.
All right.
You knew like
That
the
is
coo-
not Ian's style. It's mine. You suck.
Oh man, canine people.
Yeah, where the canine people at? Where the canines are?
Oh shit.
All right. Well, that does put a spin on things then.
Oh my god. Well, so
Interesting.
what I was gonna say is I thought that moment was super interesting because the way I perceived that is that it was. It's not that it was meant to be like a blatant insult per se, like what a coward. I almost thought it was Jihad remembering back to Kun and like being like, you freaking baby. You know what I mean? Like that's something your boy would say to you. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I hit my head or whatever, or I did something stupid. And it's like, quit being a baby. You know what I mean? Like you say that kind of thing. Like it just seemed odd for like this dude that's trying to control fate to be like, to make that offhand comment of being like, baby. You know what I mean? Like it almost seemed like to me there was something in his mind still, like there was something lodged back in those deep recesses that is still there calling, like that adventurer side, that friend side, you know what I mean? Of being like, this was someone that, like, I remember Kun Edon as not just an obstacle, but so I just thought that was an interesting tell, is at least the way I perceived
for
it.
sure. I actually like that better. I like that better that it was Daddy Jihad saying that, because it does make it kind of adds that humanity to some extent. Chat is going off. All right, guys. Yes, I got owned. All right, great. Let's move
Somebody
on.
clip
Shall
that.
we? Let's move on.
Welcome back to the Dr. AOA show. All your Tower God trivia. If you guys want to know who insulted Edon, we got you covered.
Anything else, refer to Joe, our secretary.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Go with that.
Oh God, this was fun.
Oh shoot.
That was funny.
All
Joe
right,
will put us
well,
in the
let's
dirt
rank
on
these,
anything
shall
else,
we?
though, for sure. So,
No,
oh my God,
it's all good. It's all good.
that was fun. Anyway,
Joe will be carried by Ian in the next trivia. Yes.
don't put unneeded
This was
pressure.
an anomaly.
Yeah,
Let's
Ian's
go back
like,
to the
now
trivia.
hold on. They're like, Ian's the best.
I'm like, whoa, hold up. Like,
Look, it's
damn.
Jesus.
I'm not Ian.
Now I gotta reread Tower
My
God.
name's Mark. I just work.
Oh man.
All right. So, that all being said, I would then put Kun Saving Me Sang at number 5 personally. Now, I would be willing to hear what you guys have to say. It's a great moment, you know, Kun, because like Kun literally was like giving his life. He could have died, and he still saved her. And the only reason that the bleeding was stopped so easily was because Rachel was Icarus and was able to just hack, the system or whatever and heal him. So that says a lot. that Coom is able to, or willing to almost give his life.
Yeah, this is a tough one, and because all these moments are so good, to be honest. So it's going to come down to like little nuanced things here. And remember some of the criteria we have in terms of how this progresses, the character individually, the characters around them, the story, the arc specifically, all those sorts of things, and just the overall emotional impact and hype of the moment and all that. Try and keep that in mind. But yeah, I can see the argument for it. Let's put it that way. I guess I'm in the boat where I would have to be convinced otherwise. I think this is a big moment for Kun in the sense that Kun isn't seen to be someone who kind of risks life and limb for anyone that isn't Bomb. So for him to do this for Misang is a big jump up in his character for sure. And just, you know, how it goes down is pretty cool. The fact that he risks his life to do it, right? Put life and limb on the line, like I said. I do think, that being said, this is a big moment for Kun specifically, but I do think overall bearings on the arc and some of the narratives that I think the arc is trying to address, being that all these other moments are either Bomb or Jihad, which seem to be the absolute focal point of this entire arc. That is where I have a little bit of a hang up on whether that one beats out some of these moments, in my personal opinion. I feel like Bomb and Jihad are like kind of the yin and yang that put this arc together at the end of the day. Like, this arc doesn't move in the same direction it does without them and some of these moments, but that's just my sense.
I feel like, because I do agree. I mean, I guess it's obvious that, right, Bam and Jihad are sort of the center focus of this, but I don't know if like that awards every moment they have being like better than any other moment. For example, like the one that we have for Jihad, I guess it's Jihad, like Bam meeting Young Jihad, or Young Jihad introducing himself, the one all the way on the far left. I don't know. I might put that under the Kun Misang one, because my thing is, I don't like. I think the Kun Misang moment does actually highlight thematically what this arc is doing with the whole like conquering your demons and overcoming your past and like moving forward as a person. Because the whole thing with Kun and Kessia, like with the data Kessia, is that in the past, Kun wasn't this kind of person. He wasn't somebody that would be willing to put somebody else's interest ahead of himself or think anything more of anybody than like, how much of a tool is this person? You know, how can I manipulate X person to get what I want? So it's one thing if it's like, oh, Kun needs Misang to go do X, Y, or Z, but he doesn't. Like, he saves Misang because like that's a good thing. You know, that's his companion. And in this moment, he is, I mean, literally, he risked his life to do that. He doesn't have to. That whole teleporting, like trying to buy time, he could have done that for himself. He could have waited for his team to get, you know, to the door, whatever, and just yeet himself out of there. But he purposely put himself in harm's way to make sure Misang survived that moment. And I think that, again, with all these characters coming to terms with their data selves and their inner demons, in a sense, says a lot about what this arc is trying to do for these characters thematically, which is grow them, which is where, as like the Bam and Viol, obviously, it's a very similar thing because it's you versus your data self, and Giga Jihad is just such a, you know, just such a crazy, you know, large moment. But I would actually say, like, just the introduction of him, I don't know if I would put it over Kun's moment just because, like, oh, well, it's Bam and Jihad.
I'm in complete agreement with Isaiah. Like,
Agreeance.
Wow.
Yeah, that.
You know what? It might have. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I could see that being the contention. I do not fully subscribe to the argument, though, that the narrative purpose of this arc particularly is for characters to grow, because I think you could make that same argument for virtually every arc and just the story in general. There has to be a natural progression in the character's growth. So I think that this moment could have happened with Kun in another sense, right? Like, you take whatever other arc, like there's some wild scenario where Misang is in danger and Kun is going up against X enemy, and then he does it. My personal opinion on that one, I think that we could have got some of the same emotional beats, at least for me, whether this was in the hidden floor or whether it was somewhere else, but that's my personal opinion.
Well, okay, but the thing is, though, sorry,
no, you're good.
The hidden floor, I agree it's not like all about the character development, but the whole purpose, the whole thing is your sworn enemy is summoned. And so everybody is having to face their fear. So I think it does set up a lot of character development that wouldn't be possible otherwise, because when Kun saves me saying, it's further, the moment is further, I don't know what the word, further emphasized when Kisea is like, wait, you actually did that for her? And Kisea is like, wait, are you even the same person? And like when even like the other characters, even some of the minor ones, someone in the chat was saying, where's the Irude versus her uncle moment? Like joking, obviously. But like even then, like even these like minor characters are like, we even get to see a glimpse into some of them. Like Irude talks about how she's there because of her family's dream and how Bomb is that dream. We get obviously Bomb and Data Viol, and Dorsey and the Snake Charmer. Like these moments, these character developments and finding out about who these people are wouldn't be possible, in my opinion, without the Hidden Floor. So
no, that's fair. That is a fair argument for sure. Like I said, this is just a tough one in general because these top 5 are really good moments. So I could see a lot of these being interchangeable depending on what lens you're looking at it through. I think that's kind of some of it, right? It's like where are the parameters with it. So I do see those arguments. I think it holds maybe a little bit more weight with that being said.
Sure.
I can't help but look at this Data Jihad moment of his arrival as kind of the moment that a lot of us as fans have been absolutely waiting for in some way, shape, or form, right? Jihad as a character has been touted as the big bad, right? This is the guy that is surrounded in this sort of mystery. We have all of these stories and lore surrounding him. Everything that you see here is a product of Jihad and his empire, something that he has done. Not only that, now we've come to the Hidden Floor, and the Hidden Floor is something that is this, this outside of the tower in a sense, not really, but, like kind of separate from what's going on, but at the same time influenced. And this is where kind of crap's going to hit the fan. And this is where like all of these secrets might lie, right? It's like, you don't get to see that. And oh, by the way, Jihad is there, right? So when we see him in the beginning, I feel like there's a huge buildup, right? When he looks through all of his like bajillion lighthouses and he's like, who has interrupted the floor, right? Like who's going where? And it's like, dude, what is he going to be like? This is the character that we've wanted to see since like the damn beginning of the story, right? As soon as he's mentioned, the second they mentioned King Jihad, I know for me in the beginning of the story, I was like, that's the dude I want to see, right? So when he comes out, when he makes his grand entrance in this moment, and when he goes and he speaks with Bomb on this level, when Bomb goes to insult him, right? After everything that went down, after some of the backstory that we've gotten, and we get to see now this character that, to be honest, I would argue a lot of us were not expecting, right? In a weird sense, like he comes down, he almost looks like dorky and goofy in certain ways, but he's incredibly badass. He has this like, it's like we get to see this character now for every, like we get to finally put a face to the name or a name to the face, right? Which is like something that we just didn't get to do before. This is like the absolute payoff moment here. And then obviously, we get a little bit of a glimpse of Giga Jihad later. But this moment, at least for me, was one that when I think of some of the moments, especially in this arc, this is one that's an absolute standout. Like the second that I think about this arc, for me personally.
So I would actually, it's funny because as you're talking, while I don't agree, I would actually swap out the moment at 5 for Giga Jihad's entrance.
Thank you, because that was my exact thought. And really? I want you to explain, but I'm just happy that somebody's saying it.
Because
why didn't you say it, Ben?
Because I was waiting until like respectively you were kind of going off, and then you got.
Oh, right there. You made it sound like you were thinking that the whole time.
No.
Because as you were talking, one of the things that I think defines this moment, and it's why I still would put the Kun moment ahead of Data Jihad's entrance, but I would actually put Giga Jihad's entrance at the below both of those, because the Kun Kessia fight and like moment that derives from that, saving me saying, and the Data Jihad entrance are moments specific to the Hidden Floor. While you could get moments like those probably in other parts of the story, you're not going. There is no place to meet the younger version of Jihad, like anywhere else ever. There is no way and moment for Kun to meet up with Kessia and confront his inner demon. Like what Joe was saying, the hidden floor, one of the things I think it does so well is it does force character growth on these characters in the lieu of actually having to face your demons and look into your past and conquer them. Sure, there are other ways for characters to grow, but if you think about it, like a character could grow just in terms of like them getting a new power up, them learning more information about, you know, the world they're in, or, you know, their goals and future motivations. But growing by means of conquering the demons in your past is something very specific to the hidden floor. And I think moments specific to the hidden floor should be looked at with like a little bit of a higher lens. And so I actually think if that's the, you know, the focal point in which I'm looking at it, technically you could meet Giga Jihad or current Jihad on any floor. I mean, like, granted, he has to come down, but I guess my point is he's not exclusive to the hidden floor. Whereas Data Jihad, you don't get to meet anywhere else but the hidden floor.
So my argument for it would be that, similar to what Ian was saying, that when we did meet Data Jihad, that this is all we've seen of him at that moment. And honestly, I kind of coming off the back of what you were saying, you know, at some point you were going to see Jihad, and although we did see him at the end of the Hidden Floor arc, for me, it was a greater moment when we see Data Jihad because there was no base of reference, and now we meet him and we have that interaction, which was actually the most hilarious thing on Human Planet. Like, that was amazing, especially with the little shorts. But at the end, when Giga Jihad came out, it was a shock value, like, oh my god, like, he came out of no, I wasn't expecting that, blah blah blah. But for me, it's like, all of that shock value aside, I actually was more interested with the initial meeting of Bam and Data Jihad because there was no reference point. Now that we see him, we want to compare to the future Jihad, obviously, because we want to see how much Data and Giga are different. Like what separates them? What was that change in between? We didn't get any of that in terms of the Hidden Floor. We get this big like pop out of nowhere, oh my god, with really no explanation or mindset like light that was shined for us as viewers. So it was more of like almost like a jump scare in the movie where it was like, oh sweet, that's awesome, that's amazing, but there was no explanation. We didn't get anything out of it further than just seeing him, which was obviously that was curated by SIU to happen because he doesn't want us to know that information. Yes, but compared to the stuff, like compared to Kun and just all that groan that we see from that specific scene in Saving Me Sing, that even was brought to us as a reader from his arch enemy at that moment in fighting, where it's like, what happened? Where did this come from? And we know the impact that Bam has had on Kun up until that point. For me, it's like that is just so much more development than just say like the big bad of this entire story just popping out and going like, you know, I don't know. It's just it's more moving for me as a reader. It is, but like for me as a reader, like where'd you come from? Like I don't know. I just remember in that moment, like just sitting there and being like, wow, Kun, like you really did that. Like Bam is really rubbing off on you, and it is refreshing. Like I'm so happy. Sure. I can't wait to see where you're moving forward. And for me, that is just more important, I guess, than just getting the big bad at the end of it without any like further stuff.
Yeah. Both of these moments were huge. Even just like reading them as like the new chapter, because Data Jihad, it was literally like, oh shoot, this is the first time we're actually meeting a version of Jihad. Mm-hmm. That was a big deal. And then when Giga Jihad showed up, it was also a huge deal because it was the first time we've ever seen, you know, real Jihad or whatever. I do like those points though. The whole concept of like, we knew we were gonna meet Giga Jihad eventually, you know, and it was shock value, but this is like the only time we were ever going to meet this younger version of Jihad, and seeing their interaction, it was a pretty big deal. You know, it was Bomb's first time ever encountering Jihad. So yeah, I don't know. It depends on like the emotional impact aspect of it versus shock value. And I agree that emotional impact is like obviously more important. So I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with that placement, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I do think just to, you know, I do agree that I think we can put that there just for emotional beats. Yeah, no, that's fine. I think 5 is good probably for Jihad's arrival. Yeah, I could go in on it, but it's like there's intricacies, you know. It's like it's weird, but it was definitely hype though, for sure. Oh,
it was so hype.
Yeah,
undeniable.
We did, and like kind of an unforgettable one for sure. Like, you think of that arc, but all right. Anyway, moving on then. I'm gonna say personally that Kun Misang goes 4.
Joe's quiet.
I'm so torn.
I actually think I have my top 4 set, but I'll do it one at a time. Here.
Tell us, Joe. What do you feeling?
I don't know, because you guys all made such good points that I'm like,
Well, if this solidifies your thought, like I said prior, Meesing is the main character of this story, and I'm just hold on. I'm just saying, if it comes to the democracy aspect of it, to where we need to agree. Look at what happened to Rome, dog. Did the Romans survive that? No, democracy ruined. So what's the real answer? Dictatorship. So Meesing #1 for president.
Rome
there we go.
Didn't even have a democracy.
It's all good.
We're just gonna forget Gavin went through all that.
That's canon.
Gavin, like always, we appreciate you coming on the court.
No, that was all just a joke.
Oh, you weren't serious?
Could have fooled me. All right. No, I personally think it. Like I said, I have my top 4 I think laid out here, but I'm willing to argue some. I do think, based off the conversations that we had, I think that this is a very cool, impactful moment in terms of emotional beats and Kun specifically. Although, again, I see the argument that it's like everyone's supposed to grow and that has more of an impact, but I don't think that solely affects Kun. I think that every character has a growth, has growth moments, in the sense that, what this arc is doing is setting up an arch villain and stuff like that. So I think you take that out of it, right? Because even Bomb's moment has to do with that, at least one of them. You take that out of the equation, and then I think for me, it comes down to, okay, Kun has done something that Kun hasn't done before, and it shows in the future. Hopefully we'll see more of this, etc. But I don't think personally it has as much emotional impact for me as some of these other moments, the 2 bomb moments, really. And then Jihad's arrival, as I made arguments before, I think overall does a little bit more as a moment than that moment in particular. I mean, I could get into my reasonings to why I think the other moments are higher, but if you guys have any other banter on that, I'll save that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't, because in my mind, like the emotional weight of these moments, like Kun making this decision and growing through it, like that's the whole moment. Like that's the emotional weight of that scene comes from that thing. But like you take a moment like Data Jihad his arrival, and again it's like, oh cool, he's here, now we'll get to meet him. But I would then argue that like other moments that directly supersede that, so like his conversations with Bam and the things that he says are even more like him arriving is not nearly as emotionally impact as for me, something like
sorry to cut you off, but just to clarify, so I don't know if you've been looking at it in this light. When we, not taking the name too literally, when we say Jihad's arrival, we don't, and you might know, so I apologize, I'm not trying to be condescending, but it's not literally like the moment he just plops on the ground, it's like, here's Jihad. We're talking about the entire conversation that him and Bomb have, the picture where, and like him, that whole conversation, and then Jihad beating the shit out of everyone. I would say either up until that or up until the moment where like
I understand what that I understand what it all is. So I'm just saying that still in my mind, this moment with Kun, which is a moment that like we'll get a payoff in the fact that Kun is a main character and a character we're going to continue following. This moment with Data Jihad feels kind of like what's the word? Like very, very isolated in a sense, because it's like, it's dope what happens with him when he shows up, but it's also almost a moment that like doesn't mean as much because the character of Data Jihad like technically doesn't exist, right? Like that's a version of Jihad that like is literally his past. Like it's I don't know, something. So like when I'm thinking about the emotional weight, I guess there's more emotional weight on a character that I know is like with us and we're going to continue following and see a payoff on.
So I personally disagree with that one, because I think one of the other narrative themes that they try and hammer on in this arc is the idea of what constitutes life, what constitutes someone being real. Yeah. And right, we don't have Battis on this list, although he has some pretty crazy moments. But I would argue that Data Jihad is a separate person entirely, although he is Data, because I think if we're using that as the analogy, then fair enough. If you're looking at it through that lens, then basically all of the people that are Data in that sense aren't real, right? In that respect. So, I mean, just to rebuttal that.
Yeah, I agree with what Isaiah is saying. I do see them also as like people, as individuals, I guess. That being said, if I had to choose right now, gun to my head, I have to pick right now. I think Data Jihad's arrival would trump Kun saving me saying that. I don't know. That's me. I just think it is much more. Well, even I think it is more memorable too. Like, not that the Kun saving me saying is not memorable. Like it is, but I also it's so hard. But there's something about the Data Jihad's arrival. It's the first time that Bomb has interacted with this person that has done all of these terrible things to him, even if it's not the current version of who that is. It sets up like so much going forward that even if we're talking about this arc specifically, Hidden Floor, like that is like the catalyst for like everything that happens in the Hidden Floor as well. So.
All right, so we know Joe's vote. We know Ian's vote. Isaiah, are you saying steadfast with your vote?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the deciding factor into what happens is me. I have all the power, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm messing. I actually, in all honesty, I was joking before. I do put the interaction with Bam and Data Jihad more than Kun and Mising. So I do think that Kun Mising deserves 4. And it was one of my favorite moments of this whole arc was Data Jihad and Bam. So that is where I personally stand. So yes, I'm sorry.
Well, like it still beat out Giga Jihad's arrival. Like that's a pretty big deal. So. Because that was a big moment. So I think we got to give it some.
Quick, somebody say it made the list.
Yeah, it made the list. No, for sure.
It's not one of these videos without one of us saying that. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
So that means we're at top 2, right? Top 2
3.
moments.
Or top 3.
Top 3.
Well, yeah, that would be implying, I guess, that we put that at
true.
3. But I guess that's the question.
unless we want to put it higher.
Does this beat out these moments?
For
I
me
don't think
personally,
so.
oh no.
No.
I kind of did, but
I mean, my whole contention with it being at 4 was that if it gets higher than 4, it's not in the top 2 for me.
I agree.
I would need a strong argument for both. Do you agree?
No, I listen. I can actually see the arguments for either side. Because there's a lot of. This is tough because you get. I think these bomb moments are kind of reminiscent of the Kun moment. It takes a lot of like the this is going to be the specific character development and where we are going forward with Bomb specifically, and then which was kind of the same thing with the Kun thing, but it's Bomb, and I think there's a little bit more it sets up for the story, so I think that ranks higher. But then again, that's the question. Like I said, this Bomb Data Jihad interaction at first is literally what sets the stage now for not only this arc, for the remainder of the arc, actually, but for, I would argue, the remainder of the story, at least, here and then its conclusion. Yeah. So I do think that there's this element that this moment has that holds a lot of weight when it comes to going forward with this. Let's put it this way. My top one right now, we don't have to start here, but just to put it in perspective, my top moment personally is when Bomb draws the line in the sand, when he makes his own power as number 1. That's my personal one. For me, the argument comes between the arrival of Data Jihad and his conversation following with Bomb, and Bomb coming to turn, and Bomb putting Viol to rest in that, or however you want to word that. That's the argument for me personally for those two there. Because I think, and the reason, just to explain it briefly, is that I think, and I could get into it if we get to this debate, but I think that the Bomb drawing the line in the sand thing, for me, is literally the one of the point of this story, to put it poignantly. That I think literally it's the point of the story, that there is this element of fate that is kind of interjected in here, right? We have the concept of regulars and irregulars, that things in the tower are almost fixed in a certain mode. I mean, kind of going ahead a little bit, we have some of the Fug people that like literally look into fate as their, you know, their element of choice. It's how they see the world in the tower, the witches, things like that. The idea of bomb as something that, or irregulars, that's kind of something that like flips the balance here, is something big. And I think for bomb here, this is like the biggest moment, in my opinion, for bomb, in the sense that everybody has kind of told bomb how he has to live his life, and kind of strung him along in the sense that it's like, you have to go complete this mission for Fug. You have to go complete this mission for your parents. You have to go do this because you're the only one who can. You have to do that, blah, blah, blah. Even the powers that he gets, right? It's like they smack him with a power. He almost copies it, right? Or absorbs it or whatever. I think there's a twofold moment in the sense that when he's making his own power, and not only that, he's put his demons to bed in the sense of Viol and stuff because it precedes it, and basically says, this is how I'm going to choose to do things from here on out. Like, this isn't about what everyone said I was fated to do. This isn't about what everybody wants me to do. This isn't about, you know, me kind of taking a little piece of everyone and then not being anything for myself. This is me. This is bomb. And for me personally, I think that's probably one of the highlights of the story in total. So I think for me, that one's number one. I think it comes down to the 2 and 3 would be the argument for me with those. But that's my personal opinion. I'm gonna shut up.
Okay. I agree. I think that is like the bomb moment. That is the bomb moment. Everything after that, it's the first time in the history of this show, ever since chapter 1, that he's ever used one of his own ability, an ability that he's created or something that he's created. Every single other time he's done something, it's been something that someone's given him, like the Black March, or something that someone's taught him, like Jinsung or Hansung, or he's copied it. This is the first time that he's like, I am bomb, and this is my power, you know, and it's pretty awesome, and it sets up the rest of the series. That being said, the Viol moment, in my opinion, trumps the Data Jihad's arrival. Because that moment to me is when Bomb finally gets closure around his past. Because during the name hunt station, even when he was like forced to like become Viol again and put on the wig, he was very uncomfortable with it, and he was like, I don't like this being used, and like he didn't like remembering that side of him. But instead of being afraid of that, he's finally said, no, you know what? I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with this part of me. And it's just, I don't know. It's just one of my favorite moments in the entire series. It just hits me. I don't know, for some reason. So, Gavin, Isaiah, what do you think?
I definitely think that Data Jihad's arrival is 3. Let's start there. I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air about these two because I actually think there's a line of thought that could put Bam coming to terms with Viola, or whatever you want to call it, at number 1. Just because I feel like that, while I agree, obviously, that moment is such a penultimate moment for Bam in terms of drawing his line, getting his own power and that stuff. I don't know, because without the confrontation and the closure that he gets from the Viola moment, like that moment doesn't happen, right? Like Bam doesn't have the confidence to identify who he is as a person and what power is his, and take that without first getting the closure and coming to grips with who all these demons in his past are, what it really means for him to be here, why he wants to be here. Like, him drawing a line and you know, making his own power is him being like, this is my power. This is Bam's power. But like, Bam doesn't know who Bam is without the Bam Viol moment, because that is where all the demons, you know, theoretically and literally in his life, in his mind, come together and form the identity that is Bam, the same identity that does that transformation, the same identity that draws that line. Like that, it's almost like, in my mind, that Bam is like is literally like he's being like, you know, it sounds dramatic, but like rebirthed. And like the Bam who faces Jihad, who makes this transformation, this proclamation that he's going to oppose him, is a new Bam, but he's a product of Bam that we meet in season 1, of Viol from season 2, of the demons that he's interacted with. Like everything that has happened to Bam, all of that put together is this new Bam. But that moment with Bam and Viol, if that doesn't happen, nothing else after that happens. We don't get a new Bam. We don't get any rebirth. The story and this character in the story does not proceed the same way. So I think, at least for me, that would actually put the Bam Viola moment at number 1.
Thoughts?
No, well said. I do follow in Isaiah's mindset with that regard, and it's tough because my initial thoughts going into this ranking in terms of the 3 that were left was the Bam Viol first. And with your argument, you actually, with Ian specifically, he almost racked me down, or he did put me down a pedestal. And then with Isaiah reiterating those initial thoughts that I had, I really think it kind of did solidify it more in my mind that the moment with Bam drawing the line in the sand, literally just copy what Isaiah said, wouldn't be physically possible to happen without, his confrontation with Viol, his former self. So I do think, for me, it sits in the number 1 position. But, with 2 very good arguments that you guys had, it could really teeter on the line for me. So yeah, I'll leave it to Joe what you think about it.
So
Ian.
I do want to put something forward. I do want to make an argument here, because although it's not false, obviously, what's being said, and it's true that Bomb needs that moment before he can have the next moment, right? Mm-hmm. There are things just in the course of the story or in life. There are certain things that need to happen or that influence further decisions or make you into the person that you are. I think my argument, though, for that, while it's not false, I don't think at the end of the day makes it a better moment because it had to happen for the next moment to happen. I think that the moments be completely separated from themselves or separated from each other in that sense. Because then what happens is you start going down a rabbit hole in terms of like, well, this moment has to be better because if this didn't happen like this, then this wouldn't have happened like that. And I feel like isolating the moments, at least in my mind, is where is definitely the way, in the sense that with that being said, if these moments are isolated in time, these are 2 separate moments for the reasons that I said prior. I think that Bomb drawing that line, creating his own power and being his own individual person, is the probably the most important part of Bomb's character, just in general, right? As a character, not even for Bomb himself, but just for readers and like how this story is framed. Jihad is somebody that is trying to control fate. So for Bomb to break free of what that perceived fate is in that moment and be his own individual, instead of trying to either control it or go along with what everybody else's flow is, for me personally, hits a little bit harder. Although, again, these are top 3. Like, this is something that it's a great moment.
I don't really know if you it's hard for me to separate the idea that like the whole, if this moment didn't happen, it wouldn't, the moment that supersedes it, the Bam drawing the line, wouldn't happen. Because like, again, the whole reason that moment, Bam drawing the line, at least for me, has any weight is because I know where that growth comes from, right? The closure that I get from this Bam Viol scene and like getting to understand and learn why he makes a decision to move forward and grow and draw his line. It's like the moment of him doing that is such a penultimate moment, and it has to happen for the story. But let's say you take the Bam Viol moment away and you just skip that beat, and he just all of a sudden goes from fighting his data self, and like then we just skip forward to him facing Jihad, and he's like, I've decided I'm going to do this for me. It's like, okay, where is that coming from though? Why are you making that decision? Like, there's no logic behind you making that decision other than the story needs you to make it. But to me, the Bam and Viol moment works better, not simply because it has to be this thing of like, oh, if the Bam Viol moment doesn't happen, then this moment doesn't happen. But it also, in my mind, quite literally is the lifeline for the drawing a line moment. Like, it gives that moment all of its closure, all of its information, its context. That moment, the drawing the line in the sand, doesn't have as much weight, quite frankly, in my mind, without the Bam Viol. Like that, getting to the reason that I like that moment specifically, isolating it, is because you get to comprehend and you get to see and where that closure comes from, why he makes the things and the demons that he has to grapple with when it comes to his identity, his loneliness, and all that stuff.
And I tend to forget just the start of season 2 and Viol and just like the type of character that Bam was at that time and how much of a 180 he literally had to overcome to get to this point where we see him now, and the decisions that he had to make in that state and accept them and become that person. And, you know, after like really thinking back of it, and it's like, wow, he really was in this horrible, horrible, horrible mindset that just ultimately made him unhappy. And just seeing him, like, for me, just overcoming that former self, like that is just that first stepping block where it almost lasted the entirety of a season to like now we're moving forward. And I don't know, for me, it was just such a defining moment, especially coming after season
like,
2.
And Joe brought up in the last ranking we did, the sort of outburst that Data Viol has towards Kun when he refers to him as nothing but a what is it, a scary ghost or a nasty ghost. It's like you were saying, yeah, there is. I think, you know, this moment, it plays up and again gives us context and information into just exactly what kind of turmoil Viol like considered and what was going through, you know, that whole stint when he was Viol. We understood that he was like, yes, I'm going to do this for my friends and I'm being alone. But seeing the way that he would respond to, you know, of all people, Kun referring to him like that, you get that loneliness and that pain and that sorrow and desperation. All of that comes right up to the forefront here. And if Bam can't come to grips with that and can't acknowledge that, nothing else has any weight. None of his character growth, like that it's such a huge penultimate thing for Bam to do. Bam has to do that in order to do anything else in my mind. And sure, you could make that moment with the drawing in the sand moment happen, but it just doesn't have as much weight without the Bam versus Viol.
Yes, and we have to remember that this version of Bomb is a Bomb who experienced loneliness for like 5 or 6 years or something, because this is the Bomb who hadn't met Team Sweet and Sour, because the only reason that Bomb was able to kind of come back to how we know him now is because he had re-met these kind people. He found this family, and it was a slow growth into meeting Kun and Rak again. And no one knows the pain he's going through. You know, he messes up a single time, Thug will kill all his friends, and he's having to hold all this weight. And then so this Bomb is here, and then he sees his best friend Kun insult him to his face and say, "No one wants you. You're the past beyond. Like, you're a ghost." And he just is in agony. But then Bomb is the only one, himself is the only one who says, "No, I understand the pain you went through." It just, I don't know. I think I am a bit biased because this is one of the few future moments that I did dub with my team. But the reason I chose this scene to dub is because it just hit so hard to me. And I think to a lot of people, I just think it's one of the best moments of the show, in my opinion.
That's fair. Yeah. Closing argument. I mean, it seems like majority rules on this one, but I will say that I guess there's something for me that says that this is kind of just the physical manifestation of Bomb saying what I believe Bomb kind of, at this point in the story, already knows. So when he says these things, it's almost as if he goes into them with the foreknowledge that this is something that he's already come to grips with, and now he is just telling this Data version of himself everything that he has grown from, everything that he is, this outgrowth, and that he's putting it kind of to bed. And I guess for me during the arc, I didn't see it really as this Data Viol is what kind of produced this out of Bomb. I saw this as Bomb already had kind of grown to this point, and then just kind of when Viol was lashing out and doing all that stuff, being like, listen, bro, like, I've kind of already been around, you know, like, I've come to grips with this already. Like, if I had not come to grips with it, I wouldn't be able to put you down in the way that I am. So I guess that's where I was with it, in the sense that I feel like Bomb had grown past that, but we just got to, I guess, see it in its physical manifestation, at least the way I saw it. But
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe,
but that
point,
but that closure is important. Not to cut you off, because it's almost like a relationship. Like, you say you break up with someone, and it's like almost it's like unanimous, but it hasn't been said. Because I know people who were like this. It was like unanimous breakup. It kind of came to it. You moved on. It's a year or two later. But if you never had that verbal confrontation where it's like, you know, like, this is why it ended. Like, really flesh it out. you know, you can be in a relationship with, say, another person and have moved on, but say you see this other person in real life again and have a conversation, like those feelings aren't just gone and vanished because, you know, years have gone by in the process. Unless you have that closure and it's like, face that fear and put it under the bridge, not even a fear, but just face it and put it under the bridge and have that like one-to-one, it can still be brewing in the background. And although I do agree with your sentiment where I did feel Bam did move on at that point, but it wasn't until I had that physical closure that it's like, all right, I now that I see it come from the horse's mouth, I feel more reassured by it. It's almost like now I'm okay with it because that feeling can linger.
No, that's fair for sure. I guess I was just saying that a lot of the argument purveyed, especially by Isaiah earlier, was that this moment needed to happen for the next moment to follow. And I guess my argument was that I feel like this moment per se didn't need to happen so much as Bomb getting over what had happened more so needed to happen for that to happen. But Bomb, to me, already had gotten over it. This was just the closure of it. So I feel like, although the closure was a cool moment, I don't think the
but there's a difference between like you by yourself in your own head being like, yeah, I'm over this, I'm past this, and then having to look at said demon or thing that like you need to confront and physically facing it. That's like saying, yeah, I'm over my fear, but then never having to actually face said fear. So I do think this moment had it. It's him in his head mentally being like, I'm over this, I'm past this, is not nearly as important as him then having to confront said thing that he says.
Yeah. I guess just feel like when he does confront it, it doesn't seem all that difficult for Bomb to do so, right? Like for Bomb to, like Bomb has already come to the decision that he's like, I'm over this, right? This is something that's going to happen. And now that this physical representation is coming, Kun, you might not understand it, or young, Viol Fug person, you're still coming at me with this hostility, but I've already kind of zenned out in this mode here. And now I'm going to try and stop fighting you. And I'm just going to put you to bed, right? I kind of compare it to like the like kind of when like the Naruto moment when he meets that like that former version of himself type thing. The waterfall scene. And it seemed like what was interesting there is that Naruto doesn't actually fully understand the growth that he needs to have. It is through that fight and through that moment that he comes to that realization and then puts his negative self to bed, right? And kind of comes to bear. Whereas I feel like with Bomb's situation, Bomb had actually already gotten over the hump mentally in terms of like coming to grips with the way he had to look at it. It was just the physical representation now of him actually doing it. It wasn't like that Viol per se, that physical form kind of pushed Bomb to that decision. Like Bomb had already made that decision.
Well, but here's the thing though, like with this fight that was going on between Data Viol and regular Bam, with Bam coming in and constantly trying to save him and be like, no, let's not fight. Let's, we don't need to fight. Data Viol wasn't going to just stop and be like, you know what? You're right. Like, thank you for bringing up this point. I understand what you're saying.
Sure.
In a way, Data Viol was forcing Bam to have this conversation with him. This moment did need to happen because Data Viol wasn't just going to like, surrender or secede to whatever Bam wanted him to do. Yeah, he was constantly trying to save him and Bam wasn't going to fight him, but that like wasn't enough. Again, I relate that to skirting around and trying to say like, I don't want to have to actually confront this issue because I'm over it. You being over it and you having to deal with that issue are two separate things. And this moment is comprised of Bam having to take that step and actually deal with this problem. Him just being nice to Data Viol isn't enough. He needs to confront why Data Viol is after him, why he's his sworn enemy to begin with. And that's what this moment is comprised of.
He was surprised, but okay. I also want to say too, you could make the same argument with like our top moment for the Floor of Death was Bomb saying goodbye to Rachel. You could make the argument that he'd already gotten over that hump, but he had to confront her and, it was tough. I will admit, like he was crying, afterward, but I would make the argument that he didn't decide right then and there. Like he had already kind of gotten over her, but he just had to confront her, kind of like the relationship thing that Gavin was saying. So, and yet that moment was the number one moment for us because he still had to confront her and still had to say it. And it was still a hurdle he had to go over. So
that's fair. No, I get it. Like I said, it's majority on this one. So
okay, so I'm going to throw this out there. Yeah, with this time that we kind of threw at it, I feel like the almost unanimous, unless I'm wrong, would seem like Bam and Viol 1, Bam drawing the line 2, and then Data Jihad Bam 3. Just to kind of like save some time that we had. That is what I kind of got from this whole conversation.
Yeah.
Anybody?
I would say split decision.
Split
Not necessarily unanimous.
Okay,
But
no, I agree. I just meant, is there any other problems with that?
no, I mean personally, no. I think that's okay.
Isaiah?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And another thing.
Hold on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but I thought you were gonna flop at the last second and be like, "Well, actually," and I'm like, "Oh my god."
You're gonna pull it. Well, actually, I think Hockey's Eyes should maybe be at
All of a sudden, they just pop up on the list. It's like
Why is nobody talking about hockey.
That moment was crazy. Hockey's Eyes as the moment.
Good stuff.
Oh,
all right.
Excuse me.
Well, guys, that is our list. Number 5, Giga Jihad's Arrival. And then number 4, Kun Saving Miseng. Number 3, Data Jihad's Arrival. Number 2, Bomb creating his own power, drawing that line. And then number 1, Bomb accepting Data Viol. These are all fantastic moments.
Gavin,
that was certainly
have those
tough.
in the wrong spots.
What?
Right? Isn't
No.
Oh, I thought
Nope,
that
that's
picture
right.
was all right. My bad.
Bro,
Never
Give me a
mind.
heart
Never mind.
attack. I was like, what am I doing?
Let you do his outro.
Oh, that's
All
right.
right. All right. Damn. Sorry. I thought I was just trying to correct it.
Come on, Isaiah. How could you?
Unreal.
All right. So overall, thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you agree, disagree, let us know in the comments down below. I'm sure some of you agree with Ian, some of you agree with us. So I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are and see what the community sort of thinks about these two moments. But overall, go check out the AOA channel. I'll put both of their links down below. They have a channel where they do discussion videos and that sort of thing, and then a channel where they do reaction videos. And both of them are amazing, great content. By the time you see this, they just finished Tower of God, so you better expect them to be making even more content going forward. But overall, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed once again, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.
All right, don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. That wasn't the end.
Don't move. Oh my god. Whew. Okay,
good
that was
stuff.
an
Who
intense
said
one.
they wanted to fight?
That was. I think we're gonna have some similar discussions with characters.
Right.
This is the big
Oh,
boy,
here we
so
go.
we're gonna have to because this is the big boy. There's 10 options here. We're gonna have to sort of swallow some of our own
Yeah.
personal opinions, maybe somewhat.
Yeah. Luckily, there's no
because it's a
pool.
lot of-
Like, there's no excess pool with this one, so it's just 10
That's true.
characters and 10
Oh,
spots.
okay.
So
All
it's
right,
like
good.
we could just start right from the rip.
Cool. When nobody's looking, I can move them.
What's that?
What? I didn't say nothing.
Oh, when nobody's looking, I can move. You say?
Gavin's like, I'll just save time and do it right now.
Yeah, Gavin rules.
All right, that's our list. Oh man, yeah, that was intense.
That was. Yeah, but that was good. That was good. Okay, we're gonna go on one last intermission, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. One last intermission.
Who can get all the trivia right?
Yes.
Let's see.
Gavin's offering hugs to anyone who does.
Never mind. I can't say that. All right.
Trying to keep PG.
Leave it a hugs, Gavin.
Yeah. Just leave it a hugs. Ready?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
Look at that, just in the nick of time, Gavin. No big
Sorry.
deal.
You
No,
know,
we're
answer
chilling.
questions
We're
again.
chilling.
Swamp is
Yes,
the best.
yes.
Hell yeah, Swamp is the best. Just popping, bro.
I love that song.
Actually, remember
song?
the Slump? The
Oh,
ED for Terror God?
yeah.
Remember the wallpaper engine thing you showed me?
Yes.
I found a wallpaper. That's all right. So you know who Tanino? I think I might be butchering her name, but Tiano Neo is. She's the
Yeah.
character designer for the anime Tower God. She's amazing.
Yeah, show me your Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She so you know the promotional drawings that she did of the Tower God characters like for the anime. How they all have like
Yes.
like splash pages, I guess you'd call them, which like the character and it's like a color that goes. I found a wallpaper on that wallpaper engine thing that is of Yuri, and it's that picture, like, but it's the wallpaper engine, so it's like animated. It's like a bunch of rose petals like flying by, and it has the song "Slump" in the background, like just playing.
Two things. One, why didn't you tell me this sooner? Two, why isn't it on my wallpaper out there?
That's so cool.
One, I found out yesterday. Two, I have to bringing some level of superiority as a Yuri simp over you. So this is my
One, that's
Shit.
false. Two, I hate you
Whoa.
because yesterday is too much time. There's 24 hours in a day, dog. I need that minute you see it, you need to be ringing me up and be like, Gavin, this is your wallpaper.
Ringing
You actually, the onus is on you to come here to physically change it at that moment that you saw it, and you didn't.
Gavin.
I mean, it's a good point.
Shut up. That's my argument. You can test it if you want, but it's pretty bulletproof, I assure you.
Amazing.
What are we doing here? How's everyone
We're
enjoying this so far? Hopefully enjoying our banter quite a bit. Looks like
Yes.
Shark is having a good time. For sure.
Excellent, excellent.
I'm just gonna eat this piece
We got
of beef
one more. Oh yeah, of course. We got one more segment. The big boy characters. This is, I don't know about the most fun, but in my opinion, one of the most fun to talk about. It's, I don't know. It's just talking about characters. Who doesn't like talking about characters, breaking down characters? It's kind of like our own mini tier list, you know? It's fun.
Tier list.
Oh, righty.
Start Danny's fruit snacks.
The banter is the best part. Yeah, it's pretty
Hell
fun.
yeah, it is.
The first two segments were too peaceful, I gotta say.
True. Yeah, y'all thought you wanted to fight. So, that's what you
Yeah.
If that last half-hour ordeal wasn't, well then, get ready.
Yeah, I know we were going through the moments, and I was like, you know what, we're actually making decent pay. And then we got to those two, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I
So
guess-
much for a nice short
I guess
video.
that's what people love in a sense, right?
Oh, of course, of course.
Oh man. Okay.
All right.
Love is gonna riot if one specific character isn't put in a specific spot.
And it's got to be Yuri.
Oh,
number one.
yeah,
I mean, the chances
I
of that
know who it
happening
is.
are 1 in 10. So I guess let's all swing and see if we
Sharky
miss.
Sharky is a Han Sung stan through and through.
Oh, thank
We
you.
don't get a good place here.
Okay.
Well, you got a voice
Oh, my
amongst
God,
the panel
yes.
here.
A really loud voice.
Yes, you
That-
do. Because Han Sung is one of my homies. Oh, do I love that man.
Question is, do you like him more than Lara Rowe?
Who says you can't have two men? Actually, three, because I have Kun. So.
Three, yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay,
And
but
a Yuri.
that kind of like
And a Yuri.
that kind of sideways three-way non-loyalty bullshit's
Yeah.
not gonna get you anywhere, bro.
You sure it's gonna get me a three-way?
Gavin, pick a man.
Pretend this is real. Ready? Who's your favorite character? Go. You got 5 seconds.
Yuri.
Out of the 3 of them.
Oh, well, you said favorite character.
You know what I meant. All right, let's try this again. I got another bullet in this chamber. Ready? Okay, here I am. You got 5 seconds. Which one?
Kun.
There you go.
Damn. All right.
That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty unfair up against Kun.
damn.
That's the thing. And now the real gun would be Lara Rowe or Han Sung.
Which one?
You don't do it.
Both.
Nope. You
That is where I take my two men in one go.
Brains are all over the field right
You
now.
got 5 seconds. Blowing your wigging you. Wigging you on stream right now. Ready? Go.
No, wake me. Do it. Do it. Come on, man.
You're like, choose. Like, do what you want.
I know what I need. A real gun. Can you get me one?
Yeah, let's go. I'm a crazy man. What are you talking
A
about?
lot of pressure.
Dude, all these,
Oh my
can't have it, bro. All these sideways people were like, let's just pick everybody. No, that's not the point of the
No.
question.
No, that's not the point.
Yeah.
No. I agree.
It's that when it comes to white
Yeah,
because they're all
well.
gorgeous. So,
Unless you agree.
it's that Rachel.
Oh, okay. You meant in that sense.
Yeah.
That we can all agree on. Let's just, I don't
Yes.
care who you do like or how many you like, as long as she's not on the list. Do whatever the fuck you want.
That is true.
That's fine.
Speaking of which, Rachel is on this characters list. Okay, let's get ready to.
Really?
What happened?
Yeah, she is on here.
Yeah, Rachel's in the list. Dude.
Oh, yeah. It's been
All right. So we're gonna have 9 on this, right? You know how you were like, oh, there's 10 slots, one for every character.
See, the issue now is, Joe, now that Gavin is here too, is that Gavin and Isaiah, well, not so much Isaiah, so much more Gavin, will usually come up with completely irrational arguments and like not arguments at all to justify why Rachel belongs lower. Isaiah will sometimes
Yeah,
make a
if you think
concentrated
I'm
effort.
bad, like I don't like Rachel, and I will always find a way to pick Rachel getting like not what she wants or
Now-
anything good. But
Why
I will.
do I need to sit you down and explain why to throw trash into a trash can? No, it is implied. If you do not like that implication, that is on you, and you deserve to go into said
See, but
trash
I
can.
can't argue with that. Like, that's so solid.
I can absolutely argue with that, and I intend to argue with that during this. So, Joe, you're going to have to back me up with this one.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, man.
All right, we're going to hop into characters in a second. I'm just going to do my YouTube intro because this will be going on the AOA show. So make sure you guys don't miss it if you had to leave in the middle of it or if you're coming in late or whatever the case is. For those of you who are new here, please make sure you're following the stream. It really goes a long way. Hitting Dr. Bonehead up if you haven't already. I assume all of you have because we're all adults here. And definitely check out our channels for us to post our rankings. For this, we've done the hidden floor. We're going to be going through the arcs up until where we are currently. This is a pretty fun format that we've had, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And thank you for hanging out with us today. But anyway, I'm going to have to break that and go into YouTube mode in just a second. Then we're going to hop into these characters.
Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set, real quick. Nitro 1999 says Gavin was the one who wanted to put Rachel and A tier on their character list.
Yeah, because as much as I
did too.
As much as I flame Rachel, I do think that she is a very integral part of the story, and it can't be done without her.
I was just messing, by the way. Gavin will make arguments, but he just chooses not to.
Right? 100%. Yeah, unless it comes to brass tacks, then I will. But most of it is just messing with people.
I'm just kidding. Gavin's not stupid. You're just ignorant.
Exactly. I'll take that one. Ignorance is bliss, my dog. And the closer you are to that, amazing.
All right, listen, my dogs. Let's do this. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? Welcome back to the AOA show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, along with the boys Isaiah.
Oh, hi, yo.
And Gavin.
What is Gucci Shoe?
And today we are joined by none other than Dr. Bonehead. What is going on today, Joe?
Oh, nothing much. Just talking Tower of God, having a good time.
Yes. So we're here today to hit you with some more Tower of God rankings. This time we're going over the hidden floor, and this video specifically will be going over the top 10 characters. Now, obviously, not every character is going to be on this top 10 list, right? Because there's plenty more characters than 10. So if there's a specific character that you're like, AOA, Joe, how the hell did this one not make it? Just know that we had a little preamble beforehand, and it was some really tough cuts, but at the end of the day, these are the 10 that we decided on, so we're going to rank them now. Also, make sure you guys are checking out our channel for our, what did we have? Fights, right? We had fights for this arc as well. Our other video going over the top fights. Yes. And make sure you're checking out Joe's channel, so you can see the top moments and top abilities / items pertaining to this arc in general as well. You won't be able to catch this on a live stream if you don't catch it live. So YouTube's going to be your best bet from there, but you'll want to be subbed to both channels in order to catch all of these videos. And make sure you guys are subbing to AOA Reacts. The link is in the description down below, so you can catch our live read-throughs as well as all of our live reactions to all the best anime has to offer. Anyway, let's get into it. So for our 10 characters, we have, let me look over here real quick on my phone, diddle-a-doo. Okay, we got Bomb, the 25th chestnut. We got Data Jihad specifically. We're not going to be including Giga Jihad in this. It's specifically Data Jihad and everything he goes through. We have the boy Kun. We have Rak. We have Papa Kun, Edwan. We have Yura. We have Batis or Batis, however you say it, tomato, tomato. We have Kun Mascheni. We have Rachel, and we have Han Sung Yu. So there are no additional characters in the pool. There are 10 slots, and there are 10 characters for this. So that will hopefully make it a little easier, and hopefully some sparks will fly. Anyway, let's get into it. Y'all ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Hot takes.
Go ahead and do it.
What do we got?
Go ahead and throw You're at number 10.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, is anybody going to be debating that?
I do not like Rachel at all, but I think Rachel goes above Euro.
Okay.
That bitch did nothing.
Yo.
I said that because not necessarily because I 100% agree, but I knew it was going to happen, and I do agree.
Put it this way,
think compared
Joe,
to Titans,
because your voice has to be heard. Do you think that Yura goes... Do you think there's anyone, a standout, that Yura goes above here? You don't?
No.
You genuinely think that? You're not just saying it? Okay.
I genuinely say that.
All right.
Yeah, I think I agree. Yeah, you're at 10. Get wrecked. Okay.
Hey. Who's going to say it?
Oh, she was on
Not
the
me.
list.
There you go.
She was on the list. Let's get an F in the chat for Yura or not, because who cares? All right. So anyway, moving on. We have a lot more characters. So any more hot takes we got here?
Well, hold on. Okay. it is worth mentioning
Just wait until she got put in 10 to make the argument.
Because we didn't even say a single thing about what. Okay, she did have her whole moment. Like there was a lot of build up to why she did what she did.
Yeah,
Joe, I feel like you feel so defeated right now, and I'm trying to let you because I genuinely can be persuaded. Like there are probably a lot of characters that might be overhyped, and
I just genuinely, I can't really explain. I can't defend her. You know what I mean? Like she earned her spot, but like I don't know. Like it's a decent. I decently like Yura. That's why I'm saying that. Like I do actually like her, but I do also agree that she kind of just is there. And the only reason she was on the list is because she happened to have her whole backstory thing. So, you know.
Yeah. I think she does a little bit, to be fair, to give her due real quick. I do think that the circumstances that surround Yura, and this is why I think that Yura does deserve 10, because I don't think Yura herself as a character is what necessarily progresses the things forward, or it's that I just think that Yura is a part of it, right? And we see the story through the lens of Yura, in the sense that one of the themes in this arc that we've talked about before is the discussion of who's real, who's not, what does it mean to be, right? This almost metaphysical argument that we get down to, especially when it comes to the data floor here, the hidden floor, because there are data people, right? So it's like what constitutes as a human life or a life in general, so we go through kind of the real ultimate test of that with the whole story with Yura's mother and the fact that it's not really like they steal the children and all that kind of thing, steal the life. What constitutes as that? I do think at the end of the day though that Yura, unfortunately, although that is a very interesting topic, right, just in general, I mean, hell, dude, you relate that to real life? We're in 2021. Bro, I just saw a video the other week of they put Neuralink. Have you heard of this? Elon Musk making it. And a monkey was playing freaking digital ping pong with its mind. My point is that shit blew me away, number one. Number two, we're moving steadily towards like AI and like the development of like integrating technology at a wild rate. And what's wild is that this discussion, this idea of like what constitutes being, what constitutes a life, etc., is a discussion crazy enough I don't think is going to escape our lifetime. I think that there's probably going to be a real philosophical discussion about this going forward in the real world. So I think that it's interesting that it is touched on in this story and in a lot of other stories, but now it's becoming more real by the second.
And I genuinely think that Huang, the big breeder who takes over her brother's body, I honestly think he might even be like the more interesting character. It's just that his presence contributed to Yura's character development, and that's why like after this especially we start to see Yura less and less affiliating with Rachel. She's giving her more sly looks, or like looks of like, why are we really doing this? So we put Yura on the list, even though I genuinely think Huang might even be the more interesting character, just because it did contribute to her growth.
That's fair
in some way.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool.
Okay.
So we got that one figured out here. Moving on.
Okay.
Whew.
Number 9.
Hot takes here. We got 10 to go through. Ooh.
So Rachel,
I would offer.
No, I don't think Rachel goes at 9.
I would say maybe Rack.
I actually am in that. I'm in that.
I was either thinking
really
Rack
or Miss Cheney.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I was literally thinking that too. Rack.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's the argument. Well, obviously, Isaiah, what do you think? Just between those characters, or if anyone else goes at 9? Or?
I do see Rack.
Okay.
Rack is also a solid bet for 9.
Okay.
I would say Rachel or Rack.
Okay. So I guess. Okay. So these are the 3 characters in contention then. So we have Rachel, we have Miss Cheney, and we have Rack. Why do we think anyone welcome to speak here? One of these characters deserves higher than the other 2 or lower. Is there any arguments that we have?
So my argument for Miss Cheney over Rack was I feel like that moment that she had with Data Jihad or with Jihad, with that whole fight, trumps really everything that Rack kind of did. Like, although, you saw his arch enemy with the serpent, but it was like he was kind of just there. Like, nothing really happened, where at least I felt like Miss Jenny had like a moment in there that had like a really interesting part to it and added to the story compared to just just Rack. He gets the short end of the stick, like just throughout this entire story. And I feel so bad because I don't even want to do this to him, but like, let's be real. He was just there, didn't do much, and I'm upset by it. I don't want to say this, but like for me, it's the reality. Miss Cheney just had more shining moments in the Hidden Floor arc. So that's my decision. That's why I came up with my decision.
So, Joe, I'm curious to know if you have any thoughts between those two, because you, Gavin, and myself all came to that conclusion. We can talk about Rachel in a minute once we get past this.
Sure.
Did you have one that goes any way or the other?
Yeah, I agree that Rack goes below because, and I think he really is kind of just there, you know, and he's there to welcome them to the Hidden Floor because he got there before them because of Yura's mirror, which confused a lot of people, but I'm not going to get into it. He got there early, and basically he does a couple things, because there's the whole thing with the ancients, you know. Edwin's like, oh, you're a descendant of the ancient, and like Rack sees that picture of like supposedly like an ancestor of his. Maybe there's a couple of interesting things that happen with Rack, but I agree with Gavin. Aside from that, especially compared to Mashani in that awesome moment, he really is just kind of there and supporting everybody else as a supporting character, really. So
yeah,
that's why I'd put him below.
Yeah, I can see that. I think my thing between them is that Rack, I mean, I love Rack and all, but unfortunately, there are things, almost like kind of the same argument I made for Yura. There are certain things that come to the forefront that are very interesting in the sense that Rack's ancestor seems to be up there. We get some of the, you know, information on the fact that the ancients used to be a race, and we kind of get a little bit more weird, like, inadvertently we get backstory on Rack, even though we don't, right? It's vague because nobody really knows what Rack is or what he's about, because he's kind of in his own little world. Like, are you a regular? What are you? And the fact that he seems to be something else entirely, and was preceded by these ancient beings that had fought with Jihad and the 10 Great Families and all that kind of stuff, definitely brings a bit more of this cool lore and world building to the story, which is one of Tower of God's personal strengths, in my opinion, is its world building. And its lore. It's really deep lore with that. So I think that's cool. I do think, unfortunately, Rack himself, as a character, doesn't necessarily go through any significant changes on an individual level. And again, correct me if I'm wrong if I'm forgetting something, but the real standout moments are when he gets his rock abilities and kind of utilizes it with Kun, but there wasn't really anything stand out beyond. It was just kind of him being, you know, told that it's like, you might be an ancient, and this is kind of the deal with ancients, and here's your ability, and this is how it manifests itself. So we kind of have some cool stuff for Rack going forward, but I guess on an individual level, I don't think that he pushes this arc along, and I don't think that his personal growth trumps someone like maybe Miss Cheney or the influence that she has on the arc as a whole. I don't know.
Right.
You have any thoughts on those two characters specifically?
Right.
Rack and Miss Cheney. You agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so now here's the second. Here's the second question. Now we interject Rachel into this, and we're, because Isaiah had said it was between Rack and Rachel. So I think that we could say that Rack is, you know, either 8 or 9 now, I guess, right? Because if Rachel would be the contention, I guess I'm curious.
Well,
to know.
no, I do definitively think Rack should be a 9.
You think Rack's at 9?
Okay. Cool.
So then I think we could agree Rack is at 9 because we all just agree.
Rack's at 9.
Okay, so now the question comes. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry, I'm genuinely curious about our perspectives on Rachel.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I'm curious to know Isaiah's thoughts in terms of. I'm assuming he ranks her lower than Miss Cheney if Rack and Rachel were the ones that he had initially said. You could make those pictures small if you want to, Gavin. My bad. Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, I think Rachel has a little more going on than Miss Cheney as a whole, personally, in this arc specifically. Just because of her mere presence, obviously, in the story. We have moments where she finally gets one over on Kun, which is obviously a stinging moment for everyone. We don't like to see it, but it is weirdly enough still growth for Rachel, just in the, again, wrong direction from what our protagonist would want, right? So there is that. There is growth, although it's in the negative sense. And she does kind of play a big role behind the scenes in terms of understanding the big breeders and then kind of like utilizing that against them in order to kind of move the progression of the of this arc along. But I mean, that's just one man's opinion. I'm willing to be, you know, swayed on other things. I guess I just felt like she had more of a presence.
I don't have much of an opinion, so I want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
I guess for me, it's because like both of these characters I feel like are defined by almost 2 moments for me. And Miss Cheney is with her and Jihad, and Rachel, and it's her integration with the big breeder. And I'm trying to like come up with what was more fundamentally important to happen, or that did happen on the hidden floor itself. And I don't know, because I mean, Rachel's influence on the big breeder did have a big driving force on just events that would happen. You know, like she literally pretty much just nixed him, took over the body, and did her own role. And even though you might say, oh, you know, she created Icarus and did, you know, whatever she wanted to essentially, but it's almost like she took a big breeder out of the equation in terms of what could have happened on that whole other spectrum. And I wonder how different the story could have, you know, really went if that interaction with Rachel and the big breeder never happened, and that big breeder was just doing his own 9-to-5 job in terms of like fulfilling that whole story on the hidden floor that the characters or adventurers were supposed to follow through. So I don't know. I can't help but think that she really did play an integral role in terms of meeting that big breeder, taking over, you know, his VR system, and like living that life. So I just don't know if that overshines Miss Cheney.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, if I could sum it up, at least the way I'm looking at it now, and again, I'm open to, you know, opinions on this one. I feel like Miss Cheney in this arc is more of this cameo that we all wanted to see type thing, where it's like, oh, we've kind of gotten a little bit of Miss Cheney through her conversation with Yuri, right? Wanting the 2 weapons and the little glimpses that we've got of her. And it's like, she's another coon, right? So everybody loves that. And it's like, we want to see what this character is about. So her, like some of the other characters, are kind of here to provide this like, oh shit, it's like we finally get to see this character and do what they do. And she definitely has more to her than that. But I feel like that's kind of one of the standout things. And then I almost feel as if in this arc specifically, she almost acts as like this force of nature that kind of, you know, moves forward in this, you know, very violent, aggressive way. And the real, not even growth, I wouldn't even say it's growth, but the real perspective we get, the real information we get on this character is just that, right? We get a little bit more info in the sense that it's like, oh, Miss Cheney's kind of crazy. She always wanted to fight Jihad, her father. She's like very battle hardened. She's very badass. She does all these things. I think it was more, I guess Miss Cheney for me was like a little bit more of like a, not even an info dump, like an info sprinkle on like, oh, here's Miss Cheney and a little bit more about Miss Cheney's character in total. Like, I think you'll like her because like we already did, right? Before we even went into the arc. Whereas I guess Rachel at the end of the day, I feel like plays a bigger behind the scenes role, but also Rachel herself, we get to explore more of Rachel's character specifically and how it relates to the Hidden Floor arc and how it plays off of Bomb and the development that she has, even though it's negative. I think that sometimes it can be hard, especially every time we come to Rachel, because a lot of Rachel's development is always in the negative side. So it's like, oh, okay, if we're saying that, then it's like, obviously she ranks lower, right? Because we don't like that. It's like weird because she's the antagonistic force to some of the arcs or whatever's going on. Yeah. But I do still feel like, you know, taking like that, if looked at in a certain frame of mind, the negative can be just as important as the positive in terms of hitting the story beats. I don't know.
I think Rachel's presence was pretty, like, it's, I don't know. I think you could say, oh, well, did she really do that much? But I think her presence was known throughout the arc. And I think it was just kind of scary. Like her as a card in all of this, it threw a wrench into a lot of things. And it was like, okay, Rachel was the wild card of this arc, really. And I think it made the arc a lot more interesting in a lot of ways, even if she wasn't like doing a ton of different things. Because like I love Mashini in this arc, but it really is just that moment with Jihad, really. You know, aside from that, Mashini didn't do anything.
Somebody
Rachel and Icarus, yeah.
I'm sorry, somebody in chat, Cupid Kirby was saying if we're not, well, they were saying, are we including the Bomb confronts Rachel scene?
So they're talking about, okay.
Wait, that's
so if we're counting that, which is right after, I think it's technically like 3 orders. It's like in between Last Station and Hidden Floor. where it's where Rack goes to kill Rachel and Balm has to stop him and say, if you do this again, I'm gonna kill you. Like that.
Oh, that
Okay.
scene. Okay, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we're counting that because we didn't count that for moments. We didn't consider it for moments or anything like that.
That's
so I
fair.
don't think we would include that.
Yeah, be a bit of backtrack. Okay, just for clarification.
Plus, I think it would add to Rack's character if we did include that. So I think we
throws the whole thing off for not including. Anyway, Isaiah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. I'm kind of in the general consensus here, where it's like Miss Cheney as a character does really stand out this arc, but she kind of stands out from that one moment. And while it was one moment, like it is one of the things I remember about this arc. Whereas like Rachel doesn't do as much, but she does always kind of feel like she's there. But I just wonder, like, does presence outweigh action, I guess? You know what I mean? Like Miss Cheney has less presence than Rachel. But like, you know what I mean? Does Rachel just being around, is that enough to outweigh the fact that it's like, oh, she's around a lot, but she doesn't do anything? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not just saying being around too. I think it's because like Sachi and Boro are around. You know, I think it's being there and like actively being like a threat to everything that's happening, and they don't know who it is, and she ends up killing Kun at the end of the arc, and it's like I think you know, by presence I mean I know you know this, but it's more than just like being there too. I think it's just her as a wild card throws a wrench into a lot of the things that were taking place.
Yeah,
so.
that's fair.
Okay.
I think I would.
But that being said, go ahead. No, I think I'm agreeing with Isaiah. You were gonna say Rachel below Mashini?
Wait. Yes.
Hmm?
That's what I was saying. Rachel below Mashini.
Which I might be on board now with.
What?
I'm lost.
What the
I
fuck?
am so
How did that
lost.
just happen?
That whole
You
arc
literally
is
looked
my
like you were about to say it, and then Joe was like, "Hang on, I agree with Isaiah." I'm like, Isaiah didn't say anything
No.
yet.
I
And
was
then he was like,
because I didn't know.
what the fuck is happening?
I didn't know if he was
Sorry.
saying what the argument that I was making before, like
That's
before
my
the
bad. Sorry.
conversation.
Oh,
I was
confused.
my bad.
Because the argument okay, that was weird. 'Cause
I
you
don't
were
know.
like-
All I'm saying is Miss Cheney 8, and then I think Rachel goes above it personally.
Yeah, I personally think that. I think
Okay.
that. Yeah, is that what we're saying?
That's what I'm saying now.
Oh, so then she'd be above Mashini, not below her. If
I
she's at
meant
7.
okay. Sorry.
Mashini being below Rachel.
Yeah, you said the flip. That's why we were.
No. I'm
confused.
saying that
Oh,
was
wait,
my
I thought-
original stance.
Yeah, the original.
That was my original stance,
I am
and now it's
lost,
flipped.
dog.
Wait, it was?
My
Yeah.
original stance was to put Rachel lower. Yeah.
Yeah, the original
Lower
one. But then
as in-
Joe was
wait,
asking
hold on.
you.
Lower as in 8 or 7?
As in, well, I get.
What?
Wait,
Where's-
so what number do you want Rachel, and what number do you want Miss Cheney as?
All right. When we started this conversation,
Yes.
I was saying to put Rachel at 8 and
Okay.
Mashini at 7. Now I'm
Okay.
saying the opposite of that. So putting
Okay.
her
Okay.
at 7 and Rachel at 8. Or I mean, fuck. I'm sorry. Rachel at 7. That's what I'm saying now.
That's why I'm bringing
Yes.
the numbers in, because it's above below, which is getting confusing. Okay.
I don't know why.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's what I'm saying.
I thought
Okay.
you were-
And then Joe.
Joe,
And
I
I'll
blame you.
agree. See, I was actually convinced to put Mashini at 8, but now I don't care. Wait, no,
Yes.
I don't remember, dude. Just
All
go
right.
ahead and answer.
Mashi's going at 8.
fuck
Miss Cheney is 8.
I don't know.
She's going at 8, bro. That's it. Now I can see Rachel at 7.
Me
Personally.
too.
I do agree.
Yeah, that I think we can get there. Okay.
That was so weird.
I don't know. I literally, and I had it so clear in my head, but then when it came out in words, I was like,
I think that was my bad. I apologize for confusing everybody there.
no, everybody was
but we're
fucking
good
off
now.
the
All
rocker. Oh my
So,
God.
all
Y'all
right,
wild.
we're up to the top 6.
It's fine.
You're top 6.
Got into my head, Boro.
It was even on this list. What are you talking about?
Not Boro.
Baddest?
It's like, all right, you're pulling my leg. Sachi, okay?
But that is a quick response. I would say personally, maybe Baddis or Kun Edon. I feel like they might battle it for the next one.
Oh,
personally.
really? Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, because it's more comparing it to the other characters on this list. Like, for me, Han Sung isn't anywhere. He trumps them all. Same thing with Kun. Same thing with Jihad. Same thing with Bam. Although Battis, I've got to say, I did appreciate his storyline that he had and really the presence that he played in this whole Hidden Floor arc, because he brought the whole humanity aspect of just what these people are in terms of, like what Ian was saying before, they're AI. They aren't real people, quote unquote. And like, if you consider them people or not, but Battis is like just that whole amalgamation of just, he thinks he's human and it's like, or like he's running with it. And you see the humility in that. And the fact that he isn't at the end of the day is like the stinger. And that whole story that he has is so heartbreaking and really just crazy and is a really important part to this Hidden Floor. But yeah, in terms of the other characters, like Kun Idan is also a very integral character and like facilitates between Bam and Data Jihad, literally just the event that goes down and the training that ensues. And actually in saying that, all right, maybe Kun Idan doesn't go lower. He probably goes higher because I'm kind of unlashing more information as I go. But I guess new reformed Battis number 6, personally.
My contention was going to be Battis or Battis or Kun, like Aguero Anias. That was the two that I was thinking.
I was actually
that was my reformed thought.
I was thinking I was thinking Kun AA potentially goes there. Yeah.
If I was choosing, I would actually put Kun at 6, Battis at 5, but I could see it either way. I wouldn't mind if Battis, because I agree, Gavin, what you said, exactly the same. I just think he represents the humanity aspect, and hearing his speeches and how he's like, I am a human. Like the fact that I acknowledge, the fact that I go against these restrictions, and the fact that that's what makes me human. Who cares if I'm AI? Like I am a human. It's like, dude, it's like, bro. But then it's sad because he still gets so much respect. But it is sad because at the end of the day, he still gets deleted. So it's like, bro. But I do have to say, I wish I think SIU could have concluded his character a little bit better because we hadn't seen him for so long, and then he gets deleted with everybody else. But it is worth noting that his story still does live on, because when they leave the Hidden Floor, Boro, Sachi, and Hockney, who were traveling with him at that time, they're talking about everything that happened. And then you see Hockney in the background drawing a picture of Battis even after they've left the floor. And that got me too. It's like, man, even if he's
really
gone.
good. Yeah.
I think I would put Battis at 6.
Still
I think I would do Battis 6 and Kun AA 5.
So I guess,
Personally.
I would flip it personally. I think that Battis is actually the argument that I was making with Yura, right? Where I feel like the story that surrounds Yura is something that's incredibly important to the arc, and one of the major themes of the arc is just that Yura herself is not the character that really propels that forward. She's just kind of like, whatever there. I feel like actually the opposite for Battis, in the sense that I feel like Battis is the actual character representation of what this arc is trying to put forward in throughout his entire story. He's kind of, again, he's one of these characters that only takes place in this arc type thing. But I feel like for what this arc is trying to put forward as its underlying theme in this, beyond the like Bomb and Jihad need to brawl out type thing, that's the biggest thing in here is the freedom. Who constitutes as a being, a living being, whose emotions matter, what, like when you could just be deleted, etc. And the memory of Battis living on, does that mean that Battis may have been more of a being or more human than some of the other characters that we met, or like some of the big breeders or someone like that who would tried to hold him down, right, the entire time? And I think that's a very important lesson to draw on. And Battis is kind of like the I can't pick a name, I'm sorry, is like kind of the representation of that. I personally think he goes there, just because also I'm genuinely trying to rack my brain, because Kun has a couple cool moments, right, where he saves Misang, right? We talked about this. That was pretty dope. And that was a big thing for him.
Right.
And then he gets his power up with the ice, and then the other bigger, not really big moment, but the other part with Kun that I remember personally is when they're on the boat and he's describing the backstory with Kessa. But I guess I just personally feel that those things considered, those are kind of cool moments, or like insightful moments with Kun. But I don't know. I don't think it trumps out the the presence that Bodice has and the role that Bodice plays in moving this narrative forward within the hidden floor specifically. If we're talking about this arc, you know what I mean?
Kun also has that flashback of, I think he's fishing and Maria shows up and they have that conversation, right?
Oh,
he's thinking,
when he
I
gets the
forget.
tower up.
Yeah, and it's like his first time meeting her or something. So that being said, though, I would agree. Actually, I would put Bodice above Kun because, and that's not to say that he doesn't, have a lot of development, because he does. And, he's top 6. That's a pretty big deal. So I still think this has a lot about Kun, but Bodice really does represent so much this arc is going for.
Gavin, where are you?
Yeah.
Kun, you're number 1 in my heart, dog, but I'm putting you at 6.
Okay.
I will concede with majority.
Okay.
Or die.
It's just really didn't hit me, I guess. Not feeling them, but other characters.
That was the thing. My first read through, it didn't hit me as much, but like rereading it, Bodice was one of my favorites of the arc.
Oh my god. Okay. Moving on. So I get Bodice at 5, right? Is that what the
I would say so. I would say so.
Yeah. The only argument, I'm just going to throw a wrench in there. The one argument that I could see personally is him or potentially Han Sung.
No. Don't I'm literally not even going to listen to her. No, I'm kidding. I'm missing this guy.
Yo, chat is going off about Endorsey not being here, and I'm like,
Look,
bro,
smile.
tell me something relevant. She's doing this arc like
No. I do want to say we actually were gonna have her, but we decided she was like number 11. Yeah. Because the whole snake charmer thing, that
Joe was like, "Don't worry, we're gonna put her." Ian's like, "Fuck her." And who? I don't even know who that is.
Taking up all these shots of Waroon with no fucking clothes on. Waroon has a sweater in a swimming pool. This is some bullshit.
Okay.
I'm just playing.
No, that's valid.
Yeah, you're right. No, and Dorsey does some cool shit, but like, I don't know. I think these characters do more personally.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, we talked about it before. Anyway.
Yeah. So I think Han Sung over Bodice.
Okay.
I honestly,
to be honest with you, I'm sorry.
No,
I was just.
Gavin is sorry.
I am. Let me speak. I was gonna say it, bitch.
No. I was just gonna say I think Han Sung over Bodice, and I would even say like Han Sung or Edwan. I don't even really know, like, because Han Sung does a lot in this arc, and actually we get to see a lot of his, like, even as a data person, he actually grows, and we see him struggle with a lot of things, and it puts into perspective current Han Sung, and I think it's worth considering. Like, I don't know.
No,
if it was me, Bodice 5, but then I'm not really sure about 4 and 3.
Bodice 5 for sure. I kind of forgot. I forgot a lot of the things that Han Sung did until you were talking about it, and then I started getting flashbacks of like he's basically in this entire arc. So I can see
Gavin, I don't want to cut off Gavin. Were you gonna say something?
No, it was actually very similar with me. My next argument was Han Sung over Edan, because I being realistic, I don't think Han Sung outshines Bam and King Jihad in that respect. So I do think Han Sung deserves to be in the 3rd spot. And Edan, like what I was saying before, yes, he does facilitate the fight between Data Jihad and Bam, and does also influence the training in terms of finding out the abilities of everyone and such forth, and that is an important role. But like just from the day one of getting on the hidden floor and Bam, like Han Sung was the person. They were in that prism. They had to work together to get out. Like for me, Han Sung as a character was like one of the most influential like puzzle piece in terms of just getting to the end of this arc. And I love him. Like I don't know. For me, it was just he influenced everything that happened, especially with Bam and getting them to where they needed to be. And then Edan kind of took over and was like, okay, let's facilitate this. Like I don't know. I just feel like he had to do more legwork and more groundwork. We got a lot of information about him. My voice stopped, but another important thing to note is when we first saw Han Sung, everybody has a bad taste in his mouth because the last time we had seen him was at the end of season 1 and, a little bit in between. So everybody's on the page of he is the bad guy. He is no good. No one, get him out of here. And then we see this and how different he is. And it's almost like relearning his character and trying to understand where he is at now. And then coming out of the hidden floor, the influence that he has being with Evankel, like he is just a character that you can't sleep on. And I feel like this Hidden Floor arc shined a very big light on just him. It makes me even more curious on the type of person that he is and how much of a role he's going to play in the future. And this was that stepping stone. And I just felt like, in terms like influence wise, he played a huge role. So I think he deserves a third spot over Edon, but I'm willing to listen to arguments.
All right. Well, so first off, baddest at 5, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So,
He's right there.
and so now contention is Hansung and Edon between 3 and 4.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'd do Edon 4 too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
wow.
completely disagree with Gavin in particular, just because I want to piss him off. No, I'm just kidding. I think, I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
Edon again, Edwan, whatever, is kind of this, kind of has this.
He's like the mentor role. Like,
Yeah.
he's kind of, he gives us the exposition. He recontextualizes like what stuff is on the hidden floor and going forward. But he doesn't like, you know, Hansung. I'm low key still not convinced that like Data Hansung was not real Hansung. Like low key, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Because that dude knew more stuff than data people should. So Hansung sus, and I don't know if I could trust like my credit card in the same room as him, but he did do a lot in this arc, and
You should say coffee, not credit card. That would have been better.
I don't trust him with anything of mine, and to be honest, in the same room, because he might poison that shit real sly, like, you know. It's like, oh, I put some more sugar in it. But yeah, but he did do a lot in this arc, and there is a lot of, I don't know, it's weird, because the more I think about it, Hansung didn't really, I feel like it's almost a stretch to be like Data Hansung was a completely different person from the Hansung we know, because Hansung that we know just seems like a more world hardened version of that, which like, okay, fair enough, you could be like, well, he's grown, but I guess that's my point. Is it like meeting Data Hansung wasn't like, wow, this dude's like night and day, like he's like super nice and like friendly, and like he still felt like that like weird sly, like always kind of scheming, like not really telling you everything you need to know kind of dude, but he just seemed like he quite frankly didn't know enough. He hadn't formed his stance on like people like yet, as opposed to where the Hansung that we know sort of already, you know, which we get from context from the meeting with Yvonne Kell and stuff. We know where the current Hansung stands in terms of like what he wants to do, his goals and motivations. But this one kind of, I mean, quite literally, because he's the younger one, seemed like he was still figuring that shit out. But he's still, so I don't know, like I would just put in there quite frankly, because a lot of what's facilitated in this arc is around him, right? And it's around what Data Hansung knows and what he's trying to get together, and like there's just, I think, way too much going around with him to not put him higher. Or lower, rather.
I agree.
All right, so why is Hansung better than Jihad? I got you, chat. Don't worry. Better than Data Jihad. I'm kidding.
All right, that one you're gonna have
No,
to
because
sell.
they're like place him higher, and I was like, I would as a person, but I can't climb that mountain, dog. I'm sorry. It's a tough one.
Yeah. I know. Someone in chat, I think it was Sharky, was like, personally, I think you'd go higher. But I mean, we're talking about Bomb and Data Jihad here. These two are like they're the characters this arc. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Hansung at 3 is pretty good, but come on now. So okay, genuinely though, out of these two, which one trumps the other? Do you guys think?
I mean, do you like apples or oranges, Joe? What kind of question is that when you really boil it down?
I like short shorts. Right? So Data Jihad number 1.
Oh yeah, Jihad's short shorts were a huge part of this arc.
True.
And spawned so many memes, which if we're taking that into consideration.
We should have fifth segment to each of these rankings and have Drip be top Drip of the arc, Data Jihad number 1. I don't know. Genuinely, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
I could go either way, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm riding the high of our last conversation with the hidden floor moments, but I kind of want to put Bam at 1 just because I feel like from everything we talked about in the moments conversation, like this character quite literally comes into fruition in a different. I just saw the list, Gavin. This character quite literally comes into fruition and is reborn as a, you know, as almost a different character, right? A different version of himself in a sense. And while I feel like in this arc, while Bam is growing, right, fair enough because of his circumstances, but Data Jihad is actually kind of just like here and has to the character doesn't grow, right? He's almost in this weird reverted state and has to get back to like square one. But there's no, and like, you know, I guess it's like, how would he grow? But there isn't like movement of this character forward, and like, you know, fair enough, he's the literal, you know, he's the antagonist of this arc, right? He's the thing that Bam has to overcome.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like Bam, like there's more here in this arc for Bam than there is Data Jihad.
Yeah, I'm not arguing their spots per se, but I would like to say that I do think that Data Jihad does have growth this arc, in the sense that he snaps out of, per se, is forced out of this protective shell that he's put over himself, and almost, in a sense, finds himself again. So he also is, you know, in a sense, reborn in the like to what he was. It's like he always had this within him, but he has to like re-find it. Won't go in too much, but I did just want to put that forward, that I think it's not like night and day. Like, I think Jihad actually does have growth in terms of who goes where. I'm pretty torn myself. I'm not gonna lie. I do think Isaiah has a point in the sense that Bomb has more moments, which, if we're, you know, adding up 1 + 1 + 1, you know what I mean, eventually, and if those moments make up the arc, then to be fair, there is that. You know, but yeah, Jihad also has, you know, some moments as well, and we also now get to see Jihad just in general, right? Like, I think some of those moments coming together when Jihad's revealed and all that kind of stuff. If I was talking about before the whole play on who's real, who's fake, who's a being, who's not, that kind of thing, the other half of this arc for me is this, right? The setup for Bomb and Jihad going forward. Where do they stand as rivals right now? Are they really not as different from each other as they might have thought? Is Jihad necessarily bad? What made him corrupted, etc.? So we are talking about Data Jihad specifically, so I won't include Giga Jihad as part of this, but it does set up a lot to come, and we finally get to see what Jihad's about here. You know, it's like almost like when I watch, not the best comparison, but I don't know why it reminds me of like watching Avengers and kind of seeing Thanos as this almost like the main character, but not, you know what I mean? In the first one, where it's like we kind of get to see things through that lens. It's not exactly like that, because we do get a ish load of Bomb in there, but I kind of just relate Jihad, I mean, to that in general, where it's like we're seeing this other side. Maybe I'm just talking in circles, though. I don't know. I'm still either way. Do you have any thoughts on this one? I thought you were just going to freeze there. You were just...
I think in my head, the way I separate these two is like, I don't see what Data Jihad goes through as growth, but like rather redemption. And I don't put those two in the same category, which might be why like we don't necessarily agree on what growth stipulates.
Okay.
Because while I feel like Data Jihad, you know, that has that moment, and that moment is big, it is redemption for that character, because he goes from that weird, you know, protected, corrupted state, whatever you want to call it, when we meet him, back to the way he used to be and always was, which is growth in the sense that like Bam literally is a different version of himself, you know, from at the end of the Hidden Floor arc versus when he enters the Hidden Floor. That I consider growth, when the character is moving forward and changing, whereas like Data Jihad starts here, kind of gets like, you know, goes through the whole, you know, corrupted thing and then redeems himself. But in my mind, redemption isn't growth, because you're not moving forward, you're almost coming back to the starting line, if that makes sense. Like the corruption would represent going backwards.
I guess I kind of look at it as almost like a spherical thing. So I don't see it as like you're going forward and then, oh, this is like, I used to have this adventurous mindset, so I'm coming backwards. I kind of see it as going forward and around to come where you started. So I still see it as growth in that sense, because I don't know if he's the exact same person. We don't know for sure, right? We just know that he is kind of snapped out of this whole thing.
Yeah, I think I see it similarly too, because I'm of the mind that a character can grow in a negative way, which might be not something that everyone agrees with, but I think you can have character development or growth in the opposite direction. So it's kind of, in my mind, it's almost like it's all character growth in some way. But maybe that's just me. One way or another, though, I think this arc might be Bomb's best arc, if I'm being honest, or like maybe up until this point at least, because I mean, the top two moments that we had were both Bomb moments. Like that says something, and they were like pretty much solo Bomb moments, Bomb and Viol, and then Bomb and his own power. Like it wasn't like Kun and Bomb having a conversation or Bomb rejecting Rachel. It was literally just Bomb. And I think that says a lot. I think he shined a lot throughout this arc, especially near the end, the last half. And I don't know. I think if I was to decide right now, I'd probably put him at number 1.
I could subscribe to that. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know, unless you got some left field argument that I wasn't seeing, but
no, it's hard. Like I think this is where bias comes in for me, because I don't know, like I love Bam and all, but for me, I don't know. There's something about Data Jihad, like just that charm. Like I just liked him, and I just like it's so weird. Ever since I saw him, and he just comes out with his stupid little shorts, like I looked at him like, you know what, dude, I like you. Like I don't know. There's just
his blonde-haired stupid little idiot.
I like you. And honestly, that's probably
number 1.
But again, in saying that, that's probably terrible, because in saying that I like him, I guarantee you is how he got to the point where he is in the tower in terms of his charisma and power, that he can almost lead it as a dictatorship. So it's like a part of me is terrified for my own life for liking him for said reasons, and is honestly probably the reason on how he has such a stronghold on the whole kingdom to begin with. However, I will let him rule my life because I do like him.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Charm. I agree with you 100%. I'm not gonna lie. I really like Jihad. Well, at least Data Jihad.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when Jihad came down, I was like, this dude's badass. But like Data Jihad, I like that character a lot. I couldn't help it. Like I was looking, I'm like, this guy is hilarious, dude. I love how he's just this straight up dork with his like overly large sword that he had. It almost looked like this scimitar that he has with these super short shorts and goggle. It looks like an aviator pilot with these things around his head and a cape. Like he's just like, who the fuck is this guy? But he's like so goddamn confident.
Yeah.
It cracked me up because it's like he comes out dressed like that and he's like, yeah, what you gonna do, Bomb? Bomb's like, you want to get with my mother? You ain't doing that. Jihad just like silly bitch slaps him all across the thing. And I was just like, dude, this character's hilarious because like, he knows what at least at this point, he knows what he's about, and like he just doesn't give a damn. And like I kind of think it's hilarious. So like to be fair, I totally relate to your point because I actually really like his character quite a bit in it. Like I thought he was great for the arc, but just in general.
I'm trying to be as like because of how I'm trying to keep bias out of it, but I don't know. I agree with you guys too, so it's tough for me as well. I'm trying to stick with my guns, though.
Yeah. No, I would say, though, all things considered, I think that Bomb does more in totality for the arc. If we're talking about characters within this arc, I do think that Bomb would deserve number 1. Just because, like you said, I think this is one of his best arcs in general. And there's just so much growth from him, but like not just your standard growth, like huge moments of growth for Bomb. Literally like series bending moments. And you could argue that you kind of maybe needed Jihad as the catalyst to get some of those things going, but maybe not for all of them, right? Like Viol thing and all that. So I think that while Jihad, at least Data Jihad, holds a very special place in my heart, I would rank him number 2.
Yeah. Smile has a great point. Just Bam and Jihad are both number 2. Hansung's number 1. Then we can move on with our life.
Look at the list right now. Jihad at 3, Bomb at 2, right?
No, 100%. That's what's happening, right? Am I wrong? I mean, come on.
He's not wrong.
Right.
Wild.
Sorry, chat. That pains me.
That actually was a more civil discussion for characters than I thought it was going to be. Me
too.
That moments discussion was something else, but characters though. Yeah, I think I'm pretty satisfied with this list.
I'm satisfied.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I think that's going to do it for us on this video today. These are our top 10 characters. Coming in at 9 or 10 rather, we have Yura, 9 Rak, 8 Mescheni, 7 Rachel, 6 Kun AA, 5 Batis, 4 Kun Edwan, 3 Han Sung Yu, 2 Data Jihad, and 1 the 25th Chestnut.
Gavin,
Bomb.
can you do me a favor and just shrink Rachel's picture a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I am so sorry. Hold on. I messed that one up really bad.
Well, I can't see it yet, but on this.
No, you'll see it.
I just meant because it was touching Miss Sheni's, and I'm like, I don't like that.
No, I shrunk it.
But that works
out of existence.
Yeah.
I will not argue with
it's
that.
all good.
We good?
Yep.
Did I do an outro? We good?
We're good.
All right. Ready? All right. Anyway, folks, if you liked our list today and you like this video, make sure you're liking the video, subscribing to the channel, hitting that bell if you are new here, if you haven't already, and commenting your thoughts down below. What did you think of our list? Would you have swapped any of the characters around? What are some honorable mentions that you would like to have included on here? Because we can't include all of them, so we're curious to hear those thoughts as well. Make sure you are subscribing to Dr. Bonehead's channel if you haven't already, and catching his live streams on his channel, as well as the other segments that had to do with this live stream and the hidden floor. Joe was covering abilities and moments for ranking, so if that sounds like something that would interest you, definitely want to head on over and check that out, and also check out our fights video as well that we had covering the hidden floor. A lot of stuff to go over. It's been a blast. Also, make sure you guys are catching our live streams when we do go live on our Twitch channel. The link is in the description down below. But until next time, folks, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you all next time. Peace.
Peace.
Okay, we did it.
Oh,
Did it.
oh, my voice cracked.
Oh! Oh!
Another one in the books.
Another one in the books. Oh man,
Good.
that was good, guys. That was good. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. For all of the stream peeps here that got to catch this live. Seriously though, if you had to leave and then come back, or you didn't get to see the whole thing, we will be posting these as VODs on the respective channels, like we have said so many times during the course of this stream. If you haven't followed yet on Twitch, grow up. That's all I gotta tell you. Grow up, chat. Follow on Twitch so you can catch some sweet content with us, with Dr. Bonehead, Joe himself. It's really a good time. We're planning on covering more of these arcs. We'll be going back and forth between Joe's channel and our channel. So what's the next one after the hidden floor? I think it's the last station. The last station. Okay.
I'm excited. I love Last Station. I'm excited.
Yeah, so that's what we'll be covering next time on Joe's channel, and then from there on going back and forth. So that'll be really cool. Definitely come hang out in the Discord too. Smile just linked it in the chat here, so, and Joe's Discord as well, so you can hang out with some of the brilliant members of the community and just talk shop about Tower of God, your favorite animes. Join the manga club, like I was saying at the beginning of this stream. Join the short story competition that we got going on as well, trying to involve the community on that. Watch parties as well. We have a lot going on in the Discord for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of community-based interaction there.
Cool
so
Kids Club for sure.
Yeah, if you guys want to just like make friends and hang out and do things during your day, it's a great place to go. So like I said, Smile link that. And big shout out to our mods that held everything down this stream.
Yes.
Made sure everyone was having a good time and being just damn beautiful while doing it. Smile, we're sorry we couldn't get Dorsey on this one. Maybe we will in the next one, but no promises. Don't get too salty. Yeah, big shout out though to all the mods though. Really, they put in a lot of work and time. And I know Smile being in Germany is definitely pretty late. I'm pretty sure for them right now. So for them to stay up as late as they have and just hang out with us is a lot. Yes, Dr. Bonehead is going bald at 1 million subs, and I'm just playing. And big shout out to all the folks that came over from Dr. Bonehead's channel that maybe it was their first time here today. Thanks for chilling with us, and hopefully you guys enjoyed us and what it is that we do along with Joe, because he's been a pleasure to work with this whole time. So beyond that, any other announcements before we sign off?
Yesterday on my channel we started Danganronpa 2, which was a lot of fun. So if you guys want to join us for that adventure, if you've never played it or you want to see it again, every Friday, 2 p.m. New live stream.
But I kind of want to play it. I kind of want to do my own playthrough because I just finished the first game a while ago. So decision.
It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the second game for sure. Yeah.
Okay, that'll be sweet. And then make sure you guys tomorrow, if you're catching this live, tomorrow on our Twitch channel, we will be going over the last 10 chapters of Tower of God, reading it fresh for the first time, a new set of eyes, 6 of them. So if you guys want to live vicariously through us one more time before that hiatus is done, you'll definitely want to catch that stream. That's tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place here. So don't want to miss that. But I think that's all we got for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you to everyone who followed and supported the channel in any which way, shape, and form. But until next time, we will catch y'all on the flip. Peace.
Peace.